What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new live episode of the
Geek Buddies! Hey!
Yeah. We're at it live on a Friday night here to spoiler review Superman. Again, spoiler review of Superman, the brand new film here from James Gunn, starring Dave Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, and assorted other amazing actors. We're going to break it all down, talk about everything here, and again, spoiler review. So nobody's fooled about what we're talking about. We are going to spoil the cameos. We're going to spoil some of the reveals. We're going to spoil some of the plot points. So just letting you know ahead of time, turn back now, or if you don't care and you've already seen it, hang on. We're going to have a fun time talking about it all. And of course, Streamlabs and Superchats are open. It's pinned in the chats in the description of the video as well. So send in your love, send in your questions, thoughts, and comments. I put in a goal of about 30 super chats at $5 at least or over. So if you want to match that, that would be great as we go along here, as we talk about all of the stuff going. But let's introduce ourselves. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows, movies, and virtual reality video games.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor. And on this fine Friday, I'm having a little Tito's and soda right now.
Oh,
you're enjoying your Friday as well.
How big is that Tito's and soda? Oh, you're not making it through this review.
Okay, I've got reinforcements. I've got a little extra water just in case.
Reinforcements. Oh my. Anyway, but we're here to talk about it all, everything that happened here in this movie. I'm sorry, I had to redo my entire studio this today because the cleaners came by and I had to put it all back together. So I'm doing the best I can on the fly.
Blaming the cleaners?
No, I'm not. It's not their fault. It's
wow.
My fault. I use it as an excuse to like move stuff around to supposedly make it more streamlined, but it has become more clunky. So I am just terrible at these things. But you know what isn't clunky, in my opinion, is this James Gunn movie, Superman. Let's talk about it. What a film here that's come out to launch the first theatrical entry into the James Gunn DC universe. As I said, with David Corenswet here. What a Superman movie we got here. This just immediately picks up right in the middle of things. 3 years after he's already been revealed as Superman and been around 3 centuries after metahumans have been on Earth. And we see that he's 3 months into his relationship with Lois Lane. He's working at the Daily Planet as Clark Kent. Lex Luthor is a big part of his life. Was coming after him and trying to destroy him because he's jealous of him. We get an Ultraman who is a part of being a part of the villain hood here. We also have the Justice Gang here, led by Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. And Krypto is a part of all of this as well. But as if that wasn't enough, we get Metamorpho. We get Miss Tessmacher, and we get Mom Pa Kent in this one. But basically, the story is just Superman doing what he's doing in kind of a corny way in order to establish himself in the world and do what's good and stand out and show that kindness is the new punk rock. So, Michael, as our resident Superman fan, your first dibs. What did you think of this movie?
Well, I've seen it twice. And I think it's great. I really love it. I don't think it's perfect. I think parts of it are clunky.
Okay.
Parts of it can get a little clunky. I don't think it's a perfect movie. But as far as setting the stage for a new DC universe, I think James Gunn did a great job. And I think as far as telling what feels like not only the right kind of Superman story for where we are right now as a society, but telling the quintessential Superman story, I think he's gotten it more right than anybody since Richard Donner did. Like, I think this is what people want to see when they go see a Superman movie. I'm not saying they want to see a movie that is as overstuffed as this movie is, that at times gets a little busy. I'm not saying that every single detail of this movie is exactly what everyone wants to see. But what David Corenswet is doing on that screen as Superman, that cheesy, dorky guy who loves breakfast for dinner, drinks cocoa when he's stressed out, and turns himself into the DOJ because he's worried about his dog.
Oh,
this is the guy that people have wanted to see, and I think they nailed it. I think he nailed it. I think Rachel Brosnahan 1000% nailed it.
Right.
I mean, one of my quibbles, I wouldn't even say a full critique because I think she was great every time she was on screen, is that I would have liked to have seen even more Lois Lane doing Lois Lane stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But all in all, like, I think this movie kind of knocked it out of the park, despite the fact that the story is a little all over the place and some moments get a little bit clunky. I think that this is the Superman movie that everyone's craving. And just looking at the difference on social media today versus social media a week ago.
Yeah.
It seems that social media is feeling the same way.
And still battling, but just battling about different things now
Yes.
around this movie, which is fascinating to see how that has changed. Shannon, your thoughts on this Superman movie? Did you enjoy it? Did it work for you? This is a James Gunn film, very much so. I said in my review that you could say this is auteur adjacent, if not auteur-ish to a degree, because it's very clearly a James Gunn movie. And now we've had numerous examples that we know what a James Gunn movie looks like. What did you think of this interpretation of Superman?
Overall, I really enjoyed it. Like, I came out of the first screening because I've seen it 3 times now because I went and saw it this morning. And I do like it more and more. The things that bug me less, but they do bug me. And it's interesting because the things that I loved and the things that bugged me, they all came from James Gunn. So it's like you have to take the good with the bad sometimes.
Right.
In terms of casting, I think he absolutely nailed it. The triumvirate of leads that we have in David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, they were outstanding. Any scene with Clark and Lois just crackled. And I think it's interesting because the movie is just a little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
I do feel a lack of Lois in the third act. Which is something that I miss because you have a great Clark and Lois scene in the first act. You got a great one in the second act. In the third act, you get that scene of them coming back together at the end. But I'm like, man, I wish there was one more thing. But maybe there wasn't. Maybe it hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
But across the board, I mean, the actors. I enjoyed everyone's performances. I do think Isabella Merced got the short shrift of the heroes. Yeah. And I don't love the hot girl design. And she feels very, very young next to Eddie Gathegi and Nathan Fillion. But I don't think she did. I think she worked with what she was given.
Yeah.
I do feel like Gunn pushed a little bit of the silliness too far. I think there were certain design choices that I didn't. I'm like, this again. It is very much a James Gunn movie. This is from the maker of the Guardians of the Galaxy, so this tracks. But I do wonder: is there a world where if you smoothed off some of those James Gunn edges, if it would have been a little more, a little easier to access for people that do come out and be like, man, it's just silly. Like there is some silliness that I loved, and there's some silliness that I'm like, man, why'd you do that? Like this doesn't actually add anything. And like in terms of stakes, I think when you introduce a prison in a pocket universe, I'm like, man, this is scary. And the first thing you see are a group of CGI monkeys tweeting. I'm like, that to me, that was terrible.
I love the monkeys. I love the monkeys.
I'm not done. That's great. I'm not done. That immediately takes the stakes out of it. It's like everything's going to be fine because there are monkeys tweeting right now. And again, I just don't think it just didn't do anything for the story. But again, after my third viewing, I'm like, I really do like this, despite the fact that there are moments that I'm like, come on, man, why?
Well, I have to say, and I appreciate your words, Shannon and Michael as well. I am so just floored that I enjoyed this movie as much as I did. Not because I didn't think James Gunn could direct a good movie, of course. And whatever my issues are with James Gunn and him talking too much, the PR rollout, those are separate from from a movie, right? As I've said before, there are plenty of directors who should close their mouths more than they open them, and they still deliver incredible product. And that's happened for decades since the birth of Hollywood. It's just how it goes. But like I was hoping, I was concerned that this was maybe a little bit beyond him, that the pressure was getting to him, the way they were underplaying everything before the film came out. And then when I saw it, I really felt like I was going back to being a kid again. That was something really surprising that I discovered in the film. It's very similar to The Force Awakens. I'm not saying that it traced Superman, right? But the energy coming out of Force Awakens is the energy I remember feeling coming out of New Hope. And I feel this energy, not quite the same as Donner, but there are so much connective tissues to that and that same energy. I mean, I was cheering for him by the end. And that is not something I anticipated feeling. And yes, I love that he was corny. I love that he was a Boy Scout. I love that they leaned into it. I'm so tired of people saying that he shouldn't be the big blue Boy Scout. I love Zack Snyder's take as an interesting alternative take, and I enjoy that and love that for what it is. But I know what Superman is. I know I have Superman comic books, and I enjoyed it. And so I thought this film, David Corenswet's performance, which I can't understand why some people don't like it, and James Gunn's sensibilities worked here. The stakes were there the whole time. Yes. Did you feel like it was a little bit of the animated series, like things were going to work out, it was going to be fine? Yes, but that didn't take away from me enjoying the whole thing. Was the conflict going on? Did the guy who was, I can't remember the name, Baravia, I guess.
Baravia.
Was he a little stupid and stereotypical, so he was not scary? Yes, but it still worked, because when Hawkgirl is screaming and kicking the shit out of everybody down the hallway, that was awesome. And so you had little moments of comedy, but within them, there were also these moments of badassery that I thoroughly enjoyed throughout. And the relationship between Corenswet and Brosnahan, that chemistry crackled off the screen, like legitimately crackled. As you said, Shannon, that scene near the beginning, the interview scene is so much better in the context of the movie than it was in the trailer. The stuff with Krypto is so much better in the context of the movie than it was in the trailer. So the Saracen, Eve Tossmacher, I mean, this was a hilarious role, and she absolutely nailed it. And I love the great Valerie Perrine who did it in the first movie. So seeing her come in and do her version of it was so funny. Scarlett Zondo worked for me as well. Their chemistry worked. And the Justice Gang. I mean, seriously, this was where I was also a little bit worried, especially because I wasn't the biggest fan of Fillion taking on Guy Gardner, and he nailed it. He nailed it to a T. And I thought Edie Gathini, who I'm not familiar with, he was incredible. Stole the movie, Mr. Terrific, in every scene he was in. And I didn't even mind the Pocket Universe stuff, because I'd heard about the monkeys and the typing. It all worked because it's all in motion. It's not, let's focus on this and see that you're moving right past it. And so to me, that worked as an element of Luthor's overall mania showing itself in multiple ways, because he's a genius. Look, I like them. I get what Shannon is saying. And I think for broader audiences, I don't think Shannon is necessarily wrong. I also think Shannon is right when he says, when it comes to James Gunn, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have a James Gunn movie. So, I mean, I think that James Gunn is always going to James Gunn. He's going to be a little bit over the top. He's going to have those things. You're right. A lot of the crazier things we had heard about ahead of time. Yeah. I think we didn't talk about them. Like, we didn't spoil anything on the show, but we talked about the fact that those leaks had come out. So I had already heard that there was a pocket dimension where there were a bunch of monkeys tweeting. I had heard about the hypno glasses, and those were two of the things particularly that when I heard them, I was like, maybe those Snyder bros are right. I don't know. But in the context of the movie and the vibe and the tone of the world that he created, I think he's opened the doors for this universe for directors to come in. Hopefully, he's opened the universe for directors to come in and have a much wider canvas to paint with as far as what they can do. Once you have a world that has monkeys tweeting in pocket universes, you're like, all right, you can do a lot in the Silver Age universe that James Gunn did. And even the hypno glasses, where I was like, we don't need to explain this. Clark Kent's glasses are great. But the way that was used as the joke with Lois and Guy Gardner is one of my favorite jokes in the entire movie because Guy Gardner is so hilarious. Much like you, I've seen half of Twitter apologizing to Nathan Fillion today, going, I thought this was going to be a disaster. I didn't know the game you had. I'm so sorry, because he really has won over that many people. So yeah, look, I think that the things that Shannon will point out that are the wilder, weirder parts, or, you know, the things that could have been designed differently, at the end of the day, if I'm being 100% honest, I probably don't fully disagree with him, but it doesn't bother me because I'm so happy about this big, silly universe. You know, it's like, it's one of those things that you don't know that you miss until you see it. Like, I love the Marvel Universe. I love the Marvel Universe more in the early phases than I do recently, but I love the Marvel Universe. But the Marvel Universe has always, even as they've gotten a little sillier and a little broader with the powers and stuff as they've moved on, it's always been a world that's been a bit more grounded, a bit cooler, a bit more like, this is the cool superhero world and everything makes sense and it could be this world. James Gunn was like, this is not our world.
This is not it. This is a whole other thing.
It's true.
And get on board. And from the moment the movie starts, you are forced to either get on board or not.
Yes.
Like, he throws you into it. He says, this is the world. This is what happened 300 years ago. This is what happened 30 years ago. This is what happened 3 years ago. This was 3 months ago. This was 3 minutes ago. And from that moment forward, you are thrown into the deep end and you are treading water. And I think there was something that was just fun about that.
Lead us
what?
into it. Okay.
The what should be the what?
What should be the what? Your hair should be against your vows. The what? What were you saying, Johnny?
That's a circle. Yeah, circles are flat. It's not a spear.
Oh my God. But you know what? But this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, we can go through the movie and talk about the James Gunn jokes that don't work.
Right.
They are there.
Sure.
That James Gunn humor does not always land.
Right.
But right here, this is the thing that works. Like, the jokes that landed, the silliness of the universe, like Eddie Gathegi going at the end when the guy's like, I'll help you close the portal. He's like, I don't need your help. I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. Like, the things that work really work.
Yeah. I love that portrayal too. Yeah, we'll get to it. But yeah, Michael, lead us into this, because you were talking about this, how the way we're presented the universe already in existence. And look, we'd already heard that was going to be the approach, but you always go like, well, is it really going to be the approach? Are they really going to lean into this? And they really did. They gave the opening, letting you know what's going on. And we're right in the middle of Superman losing, or at the end of Superman losing his first battle, going into the Fortress of Solitude. We meet the robots. We see them take care of him. We meet Krypto, who's biting them all over the place. And then we see this resolute Superman who's like, all right, back into the fray, back into fighting the Hammer of Bravia. And then boom, we cut to him eventually in the Daily Planet. But we go, everything's been handed to us. Everything's already happening. Everything is in motion. Lex is already trying to kill him and been trying to kill him for quite some time. Lois Lane and them been together for 3 months. Like, everything is in motion here. What did you think of how they laid out the plot and the things that went down here all the way to the end of the movie?
Well, what was wild, and we saw it on Tuesday. Shannon and I saw it with some friends, along with our good buddy Mike Kalinowski. And Kalinowski and I both said the same thing when we got out of it, which was, what was wild about the beginning of this movie is you knew you were going to get thrown in, and you knew that was going to happen. But 30 minutes into the movie, I went, well, this is most of the clips that I've seen so far. Like, this is the majority of what's been in the trailers. Like, that you just have an assumption when you watch a trailer. That first trailer came out and Superman falls out of the sky and he's bleeding and he whistles for Krypto. And you, in your mind, if you're a movie person, you go, all right, well, that's probably 2/3 of the way through the movie. And then you see the Hammer of Bravia and you're like, all right, well, that probably comes in later. The Kaiju, you're like, okay, well, that's probably maybe the halfway point of the movie. You see all these things, and then the movie, you see the robots, you see that, the whole, them healing him with the sun, with the magnifying glasses. You're like, oh, well, this is probably what happens right before he goes into that third act battle. Like, you just sort of place things in your mind. And then when you go into a movie and most of the things that you thought were happening later just get dogpiled into the first 30 minutes, you kind of go, I don't even know where we're going from here. And for me, that's a great feeling. I also think, James Gunn took the same gamble that Kevin Feige did with Spider-Man, and it paid off for both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we've seen the Superman origin story many times. We have seen Peter Parker get bit by that spider many times. And they're doing the same thing with the Fantastic Four. They are saying, we don't want to take our first movie out of the gate and do the whole, here's who they were, and then they got their powers, and then they need to figure out their powers. But once they figured out that's the movie. And when you take that away with certain characters, and Spider-Man and Superman being two of the most well-known characters are that, when you go, we're not dealing with that, we're diving right into it, you sort of have all of this extra space to play with. Now, James Gunn maybe put too much into that extra space, arguably, but it all fits and it all works because you didn't have to deal with all the origin stuff. So I think doing that was great. I also think the reason that he can get away with giant kaiju and talking monkeys and pocket dimensions is because metahumans have been around for 300 years.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't just allow him to go back and tell stories in the past, that we can tell a Wonder Woman story that still takes place in the 1940s. Like, there's like all of these things he can do. But the other thing that it does is, in a world where this is normal, it's like Marvel always had to justify. Everyone always had to respond. Like the public had to respond like, this is something I've never seen before. Oh my gosh, aliens are real? Like aliens are just real. Yeah. Like when Superman says he wanted to take the kaiju and put it in an intergalactic zoo somewhere, that's fine because there's him, there's Kara Zor-El, there's Hawk Girl. Like there are multiple aliens on the planet already, and Guy Gardner's a Green Lantern. Like we know that there's a universe full of aliens already, so it just allows you to do so much.
What do you think, Shannon, of the plot here and how it went along as the film developed? That things were already handed to us, and then we jump right into everything, and then by the end, of course, things get resolved as Superman wins. But like we are thrust literally into this story and taken along from one story beat to the next and one emotional beat to the next. Did it work for you overall? What are the things that you've been alluding to that didn't?
No, I think in terms of the storytelling, that opening crawl, that's all you needed. That this is the world. This is where we are. This is where Superman is. This is where we are right this second. Right. Like that's perfect. Like as an audience, we are sort of conditioned to know a lot of our classic heroes' origin stories, and Superman is one of those classic heroes. So just that one line that said 30 years ago, a baby crashed in Kansas and was adopted by two farmers. Got it. Check. So I think the way that he chose to do it, I think this was absolutely the right way because he is establishing his universe. I mean, we hear a lot of people saying that it's overstuffed, and I don't think it's overstuffed. I think there is a lot in it, and the majority of it works really well. Are there characters that we would have liked to have seen just a little bit more of? Sure. Would we like to know which iteration of Hot Girl this is? Yeah, but most people do not care about that. I mean, we get that this is a girl with wings. Yeah, we got it. So, I mean, just the moment, like, I think looking back on the marketing, the strategic nature that they released those clips, that we get to see Krypto, and we see Krypto is a super-powered dog who wears a cape and is kind of a misbehaving canine. So we were prepared for that. Also, I think everything with Krypto 100% worked. I can't wait to see Krypto again in Supergirl. I think introducing the robots in one of those clips, that was a smart thing to do, because if you don't have that little bit of an introduction, it's probably a little jarring. Like, wait, what? Like, I recognize the Fortress of Solitude, but who are these robots? Where did these robots come from? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, this is the world, and we're just sort of accepting everything. The big fight that he has with the hammer of Baravia. Again, I thought everything in that opening act really worked. Now, is there some choppiness to it? Yeah, a little bit. And we heard a potential reason for that. But you get to a certain point in the movie and it takes off like a rocket. And again, on repeated viewings, and not that everyone is going to watch things as many times as we watch them, but on repeated viewings, that choppiness really gets smoothed out. So in terms of how they started it, man, I thought it was great. And just David Corenswet, like from the trailers, he was my big question mark. I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, you look great. I don't know. Seeing everything again in the context of the film, that guy was perfect. And I'm, not liking the Donner movie, not loving the Donner movie. I think Rachel Brosnahan is the Lois Lane for the ages.
Keep going on this, because that's what we're going to move to next. What did you think of the performances of the main three here at Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan and Nicholas Hoult? You're already walking down that path, Shannon, so keep going with this. What'd you think? And then we'll swing back to Mikey, of course.
I mean, again, Corenswet, the authenticity and the innate sweetness that he brings to everything. Again, is it going to be for everybody? Maybe not. But this sort of relentless optimism that Superman has, like, that is a key part of the character. And if you watch Justice League Unlimited, if you watch Superman the Animated Series, like, I would go as far to say Corenswet's even sweeter than the version that we got. And the version that we got in those animated series was pretty great. Knowing how this guy is going to interact with heroes down the line. Like, we see the way he interacts with Guy, or with Mr. Terrific, and knowing that he's going to interact with Batman at some point. Like, what is that meeting going to look like? And because he is so solid in his choices, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. To the Brosnahan front, Lois Lane, again, if you grew up with some of the animated series, if you watch Lois and Clark, you wouldn't think that Lois Lane would be as tough to get right as it has been based off of the movies. Good point. I mean, you know, Margot Kidder she set the bar. Margot Kidder was a great Lois Lane. You know, you've got me, who's got you. I mean, that's a line that is going to go down in the history of like great line deliveries. And the performers that have played Lois Lane in the past few iterations, these are all good performers. And but for whatever reason, whether it was the story, whether it was the direction, whether it was just like, man, you're just not the role. Brosnahan, just top to bottom, just check. And I think a lot of folks who watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel kind of knew, like, oh my God, yeah, you are Lois Lane. And just the chemistry that those two had, and that's something that you can argue with previous iterations, is the actors didn't always have the greatest chemistry. And when we heard about the audition process that they went through to find this pairing, the fact that they were kind of switching out, I mean, it reminded me of like being in high school and college plays, like going to callbacks and be like, who looks good with who works well with who's able to bounce off. And the way that they interacted was just so natural, and you believed everything about the relationship, and they weren't sacrificing anything within their characters to make something fit. And in terms of Nicholas Hoult, which, you know, as has been well documented, I'm a big Nicholas Hoult fan. I was sad he did not get Clark Kent. I was wrong. Like, not only was Corenswet the better option, Nicholas Hoult was a fantastic Lex Luthor. And this is a Lex Luthor that we've not seen on the big screen before. Like, you know, Gene Hackman, obviously, that's a classic performance. Gene Hackman is one of the greats. Was he Lex Luthor? Kinda. I mean, he was mainly Gene Hackman, and Gene Hackman is good enough to just be Gene Hackman, and that works. The folks that came after him, you had someone on paper who should have been outstanding, but the movie was just wasn't the most satisfying. And then you had a really off the wall choice that could have been good, and it just, you know, there are a variety of factors why the last Lex Luthor maybe wasn't great. This Lex Luthor, that you were combining the cutthroat businessman with the scientist, because Lex Luthor started off as a mad scientist. The fact that they were able to marry these two, I thought was awesome. Like, the things surrounding him. Did I love Lex's evil IT team? Not necessarily. I mean, it felt kind of like the Sovereign from Guardians 2, as they're kind of like playing video games, like, you know, with the and I did think it was funny that Otis is like, you know, he's developed 2,500 fight moves. I'm like, fight moves? I feel like that's something like an 8-year-old would say. And also, these fight moves are like, hey, A1, well, it's a right cross. You developed that? But again, Nicholas Holt's delivery with everything, and the vulnerability that he showed was incredible. I mean, this is a guy who is pissed off that this alien has come down, and as he says in the Fortress of Solitude, he's become the focus of the world's conversation. Like, this guy makes us worse. So just his take on everything was amazing. So again, those three, are we only talking about the main three right now?
Yeah, we'll swing around to everybody else in a second. I just wanted
those main three were outstanding.
Yeah. Michael, your thoughts on these three taking on these iconic roles?
Yeah, I mean, I think every single one of them stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park. And also, this is where James Gunn shines. All three of these characters were written exactly right. We talk a lot, like Isabella Merced, like you were saying, like, she did the best she could, and we all know she's an amazing actress.
Yeah.
She didn't have a ton to work with, so she did what she could. She screamed a lot. It was great. But these three, you took three amazing actors and you gave them the right material. And they all knew what to do with it. and James Gunn knew what he wanted them to do with it. And it was a perfect pairing of writer, director, and performer, all kind of working in the same direction. And this is really where he did shine the most, I think. I mean, Shannon is 100%. Well, we'll start with David Corenswet. David Corenswet was born to play this role. David Corenswet was born to play this role in the exact same way that Christopher Reeve was born to play this role. That man is on screen Supermaning, and you are like, I 1000% believe this. And he manages to do that Boy Scout character without ever coming close to trying to copy what Christopher Reeve did. He's completely different than Christopher Reeve, but equally as sweet and earnest and honest. I mean, and then the thing that James Gunn has him do a lot, which this is where, you know, Snyder fans and non-Snyder fans have been arguing for years, is when the Hammer of Baravia, like, you know, knocks out an entire window of people with a giant flame before Superman goes to attack him. He turns around and he goes, "Is everybody okay?"
Yeah. When
he rescues a woman from about getting stomped on by the kaiju and gets her on the roof, she's having a panic attack. And before he goes back into the fray, he's like, "Hey, take deep breaths. You're going to be okay." And all of those little moments, that's what makes him Superman.
It's a good point.
And David Corenswet delivers those moments so honestly and so earnestly. Similarly, when he is with Lois Lane, to Shannon's point, their chemistry is insane. And you just look at that man and you're like, he is in love with Lois Lane. And he's in love with her in this way that, like, he looks like a little kid who has fallen in love with somebody for the first time. He's got, when she says, "I love you too" at the end, and he just grins from ear to ear. Like, the man, like I said, was born to play the role. And Shannon's 100% right. Lois Lane, you would not think would be a challenging role.
Yeah.
And she is maybe one of the hardest roles to cast. Who knew? Also, people have cast some really not great Lois Lanes in the past. Talking about Kate Bosworth, I think Amy Adams is amazing. I just think she was not properly cast for it. But in general, I think Shannon's not wrong. I love Margot Kidder. I think this is the Lois Lane of cinema. Like, I think that the way she does it, and like I said, one of my quibbles with the movie is what I really just wanted to see Lois break into some place that she wasn't supposed to be and steal some information, do the Lois Lane, I'm breaking in. They gave a lot of the investigative parts to Eve Tessmacher and Jimmy Olsen, and those two were hilarious and it worked great. But, you know, I really did. But then the moments that you did get, everyone at the Daily Planet is evacuating because of this giant rift in the universes, and she is just sitting there pitching Perry on her story. Like, all of those moments were great. Everything with her and the Justice Gang was great. And Shannon's right. When it was just her and Clark on screen, or her and Superman on screen, the screen literally crackles with energy. You cannot look away from them. And then Nicholas Hoult, again, to Shannon's point, not even the actors, although I think Shannon is correct about the actors. Lex Luthor in Donner Superman, it's a land scheme. He really just wants to have some beachfront property, so he's going to blow up California to get it. And then Kevin Spacey, it's a land scheme. He's going to build some more, build a new Krypton, or use the Kryptonian crystals, and he's going to sell land. Jesse Eisenberg is a lot closer to what Lex Luthor in the comics is, someone who really is kind of obsessed with the alien and the xenophobia and everything. But he made some choices, and people didn't ultimately embrace those choices. Nicholas Hoult is the most Lex Luthor that we've ever gotten. And it's personal, and he is nasty, and he's nasty in a very real way. Like, all of the stuff, yes, he is the scientist that has a bunch of monkeys tweeting and built a pocket universe and does that. He's also the guy that takes a guy who makes falafels and shoots him in the head just because he knows Superman.
Yep.
You know, he's also the guy that is just abusive to his employees, abusive to Eve Tessmacher, puts his ex-girlfriend in a prison for writing a blog about him. Like, he's a petulant child who is also a super genius. And he is so jealous of Superman. Some of our friends who are executives kind of felt like at the end, his whole big speech didn't really that they felt that they wanted to get into that earlier. They really wanted to understand the Lex Luthor, why he was so upset about Superman even more. And I do think his speech at the end, as good as it is, maybe there's something that could have been clearer there, but the raw emotion that he delivers, like, I want to see more of this Lex Luthor. I want to see where this Lex Luthor goes. I want this Lex Luthor to go up against the Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I really loved the performances of all three of them. You guys have covered a majority, but I'm still going to put it 2 cents. I agree with you, Michael, that when I saw Corenswet on screen, it was like, okay, this is Superman. Because the gift of getting Superman right, or the way to get Superman right, is not only getting the Boy Scout and the earnestness and the resolution to keep coming back and fighting. He's got a little cockiness to him. And you've got to have that bubbling under the surface. Christopher Reeve had it. And Corenswet has it. I don't know if Brandon Routh had it. Cavill had it was a different way. But here you can see that for all of his cheesiness and liking essentially liking the Sugar Ray or the whatever you want to say, a group there that she made fun of him for, he is still very clear about what he's doing. And when he has the interview moment with Lois and they're going back and forth and she is peppering him, in the trailer, it plays like, oh, he's a really angry guy. In the film, it makes sense what it builds to and why he's reacting the way he's reacting, because for him, this is just logical. I don't know why you don't get what I'm doing. Why is this such a big deal? I'm trying to do good because it is the right thing to do. And he's passionate, not angry. And that's the difference. He walks that line really well. But when, Lois questions him or anyone, he always has that kind of like half smirk. Even when he goes, hey, eyes up here to the kaiju, there's a confidence in that. After he's checked on everybody to make sure they're okay, he's back into the fray. When he's beat up in the Fortress of Solitude and Four is telling him, Alan Tudyk is telling him you can't go back out there. He's like, I got to go back out. There's enough. I'm going. And so there is a strength to him in that way, so that when he ends up with Ma and Pa Kent in that scene that we get, which I think is really great, that he's come to that point where he does need, in essence, Ma and Pa Kent to be his son, the son, to bring his energy back up to get ready to get back into the fray. And so the way they navigate that, I think David does an incredible job with it, so that by the end, when he delivers his monologue to Luthor, you are like, yes, hell yes, and you buy it and believe it, because the film has done an incredible job with Corenswet's performance to have you believe that he's delivering this from an honest place. And you get the ethos of Superman being spelled out onto the screen. Brosnahan's great. My complaint is the same as you guys' complaint. I wanted more of Lois being a journalist and less
journalizing.
Yes, journalist. I just wanted more of that, because and less of being Superman's worried girlfriend. I wanted a little less of that. And I want a little more of her,
Superman's worried girlfriend who runs in and rescues him when he needs it. Just to be clear, she wasn't on the sidelines wringing her hands.
Well, she was in some sections, and I wanted her to be more active in that way, and so I wanted more with her doing that in the film. But the performance is great. I don't think it's Margot Kidder level just yet, because I don't think she had enough of the journalistic stuff to do, because we have to see her be as resolute as Clark in different ways, right? Margot is going to investigate that. I know you don't want me to go, Clark, but I'm going to go look and see what's going on here, because this is important. And yes, I get swallowed up by an earthquake, but I went because I'm determined. They both have to have that determination. And she gets it through the first half of the movie, and then the second half, it kind of goes in and out up until she writes the article and what have you. So, I wanted more of that, but she was great in the film. And as I said, crackling with electricity, the two of them. And then Nicholas Hoult, what I liked, I didn't mind it. And I get it. Casuals were like, well, where's the motivation? We don't know why he's doing this until much later in the movie. I totally get that could be an issue. But for me, because, we already know so much about Lex Luthor from the comics and whatever, I did the shortcut in my head that I know what he's going after. I know why he's upset. I know what it is. And the way he plays him, like an Elon Musk level type of infant with all this money and genius. And we're seeing right now, the infant nature of someone who's in charge, wanting to put people in prison or threaten to put people in prison simply because they have a different point of view or dare to criticize that person. So he is the perfect Lex Luthor for 2025. He is the perfect Lex Luthor for our society. He is a genius. He loves to play with his toys, as Elon Musk loves to play with his toys, but he's also an impetulant child who carries out grudges like a 5-year-old because he's in a state of arrested development. So much so that at the end, when he delivers that speech and he gets emotional, which I think is brilliant to have him get emotional. It is because he knows deep down inside that Superman is the reflection of his insecurities, of his knowledge that he is not the most powerful person on the earth. And he always loved the idea of knowing he was the most powerful person on the earth. And Superman shatters that belief completely. So he must destroy him in order to be able to come back to that position on earth. And even uses Ultraman. He creates essentially a bizarro version of Superman in order to try to destroy him, which I think is how deep his genius goes. And even throwing things at Miss Tessmacher like that shows you there's an evil undercurrent within him. And when he kills that poor guy, and I didn't like the fact that they used the trope of a person of color being killed so that the white hero could say, I hated that, but that it worked because that guy was so earnest and so caring. And so shooting it from this far away and seeing the gunshot, you're like, oh, fuck. So this is not just a playful Luthor that we have in a kind of a goofy film at times or silly film at times. This guy's really dangerous. And so I love that element coursing throughout. So, yeah, good performances.
Sorry, just because I know we're not going to touch on this cameo probably, but
yes, go ahead.
The analogy, the Lex is kind of like a Musk-like figure.
Yeah.
When we see Maxwell Lord, I leaned over to Kalinowski last night. I'm like, all right, so if Lex is Musk, Maxwell Lord is Mark Cuban. Like the way that he talked about
That's a good point.
How everyone can agree this guy's an asshole. So I was like, I thought the way that they used him in that one line, I mean, I imagine he probably did a little bit more that didn't make it. But the way that they used him, like the mirror to the world we're living in right now, I'm like, that's a good comparison right there.
And having Lex have a set of cages where he could put people in. Oh wait, sorry about that. No, that's a different situation. Anyway, let's move on to the Justice Gang.
Jesus,
what'd you think of the Justice Gang in this one here, Michael? I'm swinging back to you as we were talking to Jen initially. What'd you think of how the Justice Gang was used in here? And also, let's throw in Metamorpho. What'd you think of these characters on the periphery being a part of this movie and how they were used in the film?
I have a feeling that in the 2 hour and 20-minute version of this movie that we didn't get, we probably got a little bit more information on the Justice Gang. I think that's probably ultimately what got sacrificed a little bit to get us closer to that 2 hour mark. So I do think that this is where being a comic book fan allows you to fill in gaps. And I'm curious about people who don't know as much about the comics, particularly some of these characters that are lesser known. For me, I'm great. As we've already said, I wish Hawkgirl had a bit more to do. But I think Guy Gardner really shines. And then Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific really gets to run with, like arguably steals the movie. Yep. And out of the three members of the Justice Gang, clearly has the closest relationship with Superman, particularly by the end. Yeah. Even with the post-credit sequence with the two of them standing there. So I think even if you don't, I think a lot of people left wanting to know who the fuck Mr. Terrific was. Right. What exactly his path, like I had people calling me and texting me and they're like, so is he a cyborg? Or I'm like, no, he's just really smart. He's smart. And they're like, okay. And with Hawkgirl, I think one of the things that kind of where she falls into the cracks in the middle is that it's not just that she didn't have a lot to do. Like, she's cool and she's strong and she's the muscle, but Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner had really strong points of view.
Yes.
Like, in terms of what the movie is, Guy Gardner is like, we're not going to fuck with this. We're not going to fuck with the government. The government arrested Superman. I'm not getting in the middle of it. It's against my vow. Eddie Gathegi is like, all right, I'm going to help you out. We're going to see there's something going on here. We should really get to the bottom of it. Hawkgirl kind of has I agree with Guy, even though I think Guy's an asshole. Like, she doesn't have a strong opinion. If she is indeed a Thanagarian, which I assume she is, but Shannon did make the good point that we don't know what version of Hawkgirl this is. True. If she is another alien, they could have given her, even if it was just a couple lines, like, look, as an alien, I get, but they maybe didn't want to do that because it would have taken away from the fact that Clark is an alien. So there's a lot of things where I'm like, okay, she didn't really have a specific thing to do. Right. But I like her a lot as an actress, and I hope that as we move forward, we really get to dive into her more. But I really think Nathan Fillion proved the haters wrong, and Eddie Gathegi steals the movie. And then with Metamorpho, he just is great. I mean, our buddy Jonathan Gabay walked out of the movie and said, I would die for Metamorpho. He's like, I don't really know who Metamorpho is. Again, We get nothing about his story. We get nothing about his ties to Simon Stagg, or that the blonde woman he's sitting next to at the end of the movie is Simon Stagg's daughter. Like, this is all information for somewhere down the road for fans who don't know it. But this guy who can transform into any element being used to create kryptonite, because there's no more kryptonite on the earth, and then uses his powers to create the power of a yellow sun to give Superman his abilities back, and then comes in at the end and gets to join the Justice Gang. Like, even the line at the end, which is, this is very James Gunn humor, but it worked.
Yeah.
When it was like, hey, this guy's pretty great. He should join the team. You look at that face. You want him on the team? He can't be on the Justice Gang. What a great name. You're on the team. Like, it was such a dumb joke, but it landed. So we talked about this early on. Like, when you started hearing about every character that was in the movie, is it too much? Is it going to be confusing? But the Justice Gang, for better or for worse, and for Hawk Girl it was worse, was a unit. Metamorpho had a very featured role in the middle of the movie with a very specific purpose. And so they all kind of fit into the bigger tapestry of what was going on without feeling like they were in the way.
And the fact that we've gotten so many positive reviews of the movie from people who probably are not comic book nerds or comic book geeks, I think speaks volumes about how good the movie is and how it's laying out these characters. Now, it doesn't mean there aren't some people who are like, I was lost with all this stuff coming in and who was who and who was what. But like he told you, these have been around for centuries. They're not going to take time to explain every single character until it becomes important to do so. You just go along for the ride and have some fun with it. It'll come up when it's supposed to come up. Yeah, Michael, you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say one thing that David Corenswet said early on, and I really felt this way, and I will probably say this more than once as people talk about Superman in the coming weeks, is David Corenswet said the way that this movie launches makes me feel like it's in a Star Wars movie. And where he's right, and for better, for worse, and sometimes Lucasfilm does this and it pisses me off, and sometimes it works, is Boba Fett and all those fucking bounty hunters showed up in Empire Strikes Back, and we didn't know a goddamn thing about them, and we lost our shit. Admiral Akbar, they didn't explain who that dude was. They didn't explain, this is a Mon Calamari, and the Mon Calamari are really great at building ships, and their ships have really helped the Alliance. Like, they didn't explain anything. Star Wars movies, you get thrown into the Star Wars movie, you get thrown into the universe in the middle of a conflict, you're given very little information, and it's all vibes, and it's all, this is cool. Like, you don't get the, this is the backstory, this is the backstory. And jumping into this movie, it feels like that.
Yeah.
Knowing that we have a DC universe that is unfolding in front of us, and knowing already that James Gunn is saying he might want to do a Jimmy Olsen series or a Mr. Terrific series the same way he's doing a Peacemaker series, I have a feeling these characters that were like, oh, they didn't get a lot to do, or we didn't get to know their backstory, or I'm not really clear on what their powers are, we're going to get that moving down the road. Is that the best way to tell a story? That's debatable, but in the world that we live in, knowing that we have these interconnected universes, it does work when it works.
Yeah, we'll find out. That's a great point. Shannon, your thoughts on the Justice Gang? I know we kind of alluded to most of it already, but what else do you want to add to your opinions on these three characters and Metamorpho?
I mean, the initial backlash to Nathan Fillion being Guy Gardner, I thought, even at the time, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I know that he has voiced Hal Jordan a bunch of times, and that if this were 15 years ago, like, you would want him to be Hal Jordan. Like, I get it.
Oh, Hal Jordan.
Nathan Fillion is really funny. And Guy Gardner is really funny. Yeah. So, like, I think the idea that Kyle Chandler's playing Hal Jordan, like Coach Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights is Hal Jordan, I'm like, yeah, that's Hal Jordan. Nathan Fillion is Guy Gardner. And the way that every line that he delivered, I mean, again, the what should be the what? Kalinowski and I have been dying since Tuesday.
When I tell you, I can already tell you that when we go to Comic-Con this year, Kalinowski is going to say the what in the what 137 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love the way Guy Gardner was portrayed. I mean, do I love the flat, or do I love the bowl cut? No, I don't. I'm like, I get that his comics accurate. He gets a flat top later, and I think that's probably a better choice. But the only quibble I have, and it's a design thing, it's not Nathan Fillion, is, traditionally in comics and an animated series, when Green Lantern flies, he got the green sheen over him. And like maybe in live action, that just doesn't look great, but he does look a little goofy, just kind of floating there. And I'm like, like it doesn't bother me with Superman. It doesn't bother me with, Eddie Gathegi and his T-Sphere Barca Lounger. Like, I don't know why this bothers me, but it does kind of bother me, despite the fact that the light constructs I thought looked good.
You have 4 flyers. You have Superman, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Eddie Gathegi floating. Kind of. But like, yes, every one of them, you are right. Like it only really bugs me in the very first shot when they're floating there with the kaiju and then they all head in. And there's something about that shot where the way he flies in, you're like, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right.
It just doesn't look right. Like I would love, like I'm thinking about like in Guardians Volume 2 when Michael Rooker, Yondu puts that thing on that little thing on Quill.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, why couldn't you do that? Like I think again, they probably did try it and it just didn't look great. But that's kind of my only quibble with Guy Gardner. Eddie Gathegi, that guy's been around forever. And he has been in so many good shows. Like he's a recurring character on For All Mankind. I think starting in season 3, he was in a great. I think it's on Netflix called Startup with Martin Freeman.
X-Men First Class.
He's Darwin. Yeah,
he's Darwin.
I mean, he has been around forever, and I love that he's finally getting to show off on as big a stage as this movie is going to get, because he was outstanding. He was so much fun. Like you get that inner genius of his the whole time. Like the whole thing when he says to Lois, I don't like to deal with people's emotions. Like he is not programmed for that. Like he is presented with a mathematical issue. He is going to solve it. His action scene when they go to the little Luthor Corps base camp.
That was amazing.
What an incredible scene. Like I am not always a big fan of the needle drops. This is the one needle drop, and I didn't think a needle drop would work in Superman. This is the one where it worked, because I mean, Kalinowski again and we were talking about this, and I was like, if you take that song out and you put score in, that scene has to be half as long. Like it just doesn't work as well. Like when you actually have the needle drop, like I thought it was fantastic. And Isabella Merced, look, I mean, she's awesome. She's great. They just, as Vogel already said correctly, like they didn't give her a distinct point of view, or maybe they did, and that's the thing that hit
and then it got cut. Yeah,
because that shot of her coming out of the shower, drying her hair, I'm like, that's a very specific shot.
Oh yeah.
So there's something that is surrounding that we didn't get to see. Anthony Kerrigan as Metamorpho. NoHo Hank. I mean, he is just a delightful performer, and his posture as they walk into that cell, you can tell this is a guy with no options.
Yeah,
because his I know someone had asked in the chat, like, where's his baby mama? It's that blonde lady.
It's the blonde lady
for half a second. That's Simon Stagg's daughter, who's another sort of DC like industrialist. In the comics, like he is much more gruff in the comics.
Yeah. He's older in the comics too, so than maybe Anthony Kerrigan is now.
But it's also, making room for the kind of sad dad that he is. Like I thought that was a terrific choice, and maybe outside of what we've seen, like maybe there is the gruffness, but I thought playing him the way that they played him, I thought he fit in so naturally. And knowing that whenever we see the Justice Gang again, or Justice League Europe, or Justice League International, whatever these people are going to be, we're going to see Metamorpho, because in the comics, he and Guy Gardner do not get along at all. So watching the progression of that relationship is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I thought they were fantastic. And I again, it's not my Guy Gardner, but it's the right Guy Gardner for this movie. And it worked, because he's not my Guy Gardner. Okay. My Guy Gardner is much more of a prick. And so, but this guy's kind of a dumb prick. And I don't think Guy Gardner is dumb, no matter what some of you all think. And I like the element of that being in this. It worked for it. And I like that he thinks he's the leader of the crew, because of course Guy Gardner would think he's the leader. That was the big thing about Justice League International, is that he always thinks he's the leader, or not necessarily. He's always challenging Batman throughout so many issues for leadership of the
Batman punching Guy Gardner in the face is like one of the all-time great moments in DC Comics.
It is. So I like that, and I like that neither of them list him. And I hear what you guys are saying about Isabella Merced. She doesn't have a point of view, but I think she's reflective of like you boomers go get mad about shit. I'm chilling out till I have to get involved and blah blah blah. So it's a different approach, and I don't.
That's great. By the way.
Yeah.
I think you can. I think I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm gonna interrupt you. But like, I do think that like that is a great take, and I think if you look at what's there, you can infer that, and I think that's great. And I probably will now infer that in my head. Yeah. If they had given her,
I'm just about to say
single line that said, "Oh, you guys that have been doing this for years take everything so far." Like, if they had made anything that kind of defined in the script, because I always ding everybody for the look. Is it on the page? Was this actually in the movie, or is this your headcanon? That is technically your headcanon, but it's very good headcanon that like you can easily pull out of what's there. And if there had been one thing in there that had like gotten to that, I think everyone would have been like, oh, okay, I get who she is.
I mean, I was literally just going to say that, but okay, I think you took my point for me. Okay, but that's what I was going to get to, is that if they had given her a line there, like in one interaction, then you would have gotten that for sure. So Mike, we're on the same wavelength about her.
Absolutely. So I was right.
Well, yes,
what you're saying,
but I was going to say what you were going to say.
I was right.
You had to interrupt me, so I know. But anyway, what I liked about it, though, but I like Mr. Terrific. I liked everything with Edie Gathegi, even him sitting in a barca lounger. I dug it. It's new. It's different. I love the approach to it, and I love the fact that I read this in a review, which was perfect. I was thinking about why I loved him so much, and it was because of the portrayal of this attitude. And the person in the review, I can't remember what review it was. I read like a bunch of reviews on this, and one of the reviewers said, he acts like what it would actually be like if he had to deal with everybody who was stupider than he was. So you have that element kind of coarse. It's not judgmental, condescending. It's just irritating. And so to have that as an element of it, I think is great. Because when he chastises, it doesn't feel like he's being an asshole, even though like some of the things he says, you could say are kind of asshole. Like, why are you arguing about a sphere versus a circle? But to him, that's important. But to him, that's important, right? But when he's trying to find Clark and this hole is closing and Lois is freaking the fuck out, he is determined to find Superman and bring him. And then there's this thing. Was that a baby? What's that about a baby? And so this whole thing happens, like him commenting on everything that is happening. It's a very 70s type of element to it, which I really liked, along with the intelligent approach to it. So the chemistry here with all of them works so well. And then the stuff with him. And then Anthony Carey, I mean, just as you said, Shannon, no ho hang. The tenderness he shows that child, and then the frustration he feels, like when he tells him not to look at him, like, don't look at me. And it's not from a place of like hatred. It's from a place of like, I'm doing this against my will, and I will shatter in pieces if you make me look at you or make me see what I'm doing, right? And so you see there's such pain. You have to find the right actor who's going to step in with no backstory and deliver those lines so believably that you're immediately on board with his struggle. And I think they did a really good job of the performances of that as well. Let's talk about Ma and Pa Kent. Let's get into Ma and Pa Kent. Who wants to go first on this? Shannon, okay, you're reacting. Shannon, take it away. What'd you think of Ma and Pa Kent and how they were used in the movie? They were used sparingly, but were they effective in their performances and in the scene?
Very perfective and deceptively heartwarming.
Yeah.
Because the first scene with them, as Clark is walking into the Daily Planet and Steve Lombard, played by the hilarious Beck Bennick from SNL, as he is, this is clearly not the first time he has teased Clark about where Clark is from, where he's asking, like, are they grilling up some roadkill, some chitlins? The way that, so my grandparents were from like rural West Virginia, like they were like country. And that is like, it was like watching my grandma and my papa on screen. Like, again, they both passed before the sort of the proliferation of cell phones, but the way that she was leaning over talking on the phone, being like, we just want to say congratulations. I mean, that deep accent, that really slow, methodical delivery. I mean, really, it was like watching my grandparents. And as Pa Kent is, I can't remember what he's doing, like, tell him not to be a stranger. Like, that was literally, again, that was just a page out of my childhood. but then when we get them coming back, you see the love that these two have for their adopted son. I mean, it was so incredible to watch. And the choice, like in the past, they don't go this country with the Kents.
Right.
I mean, recently, like the Kents have been getting sexy. Like when you look at starting like with John Schneider as John Kent back in Smallville.
Oh, that's right.
But I love the fact that not only are they old enough to be his grandparents, but also this kid did not come from those people.
Right.
But the love that they have for him, the love that they have for each other, the scene where Pa Kent is out talking with Clark on the porch. I mean, instant tears.
Oh, yeah.
Instant tears. I mean, again, like anything with fathers and sons is going to hit me in the feels. But this was so well done. And listening to Ma Kent, when you see him get sort of emotionally worked up and oh, mush.
Yeah.
I mean, mush is, again, literally something my grandparents used to say. So the way that they are portrayed, I just thought was so lovely. And going back to the interview scene when Lois hits on the fact of like, your adopted parents, where are they from? And he's like, I'm not, like, the lengths that Clark will go to protect his mom and dad is just so incredible. And that line of like Clark being so ashamed, like finding out what his birth parents wanted him to do or expected him to do. And Pa Kent saying, you know, you're defined by your actions. That's what makes you who you are. Like, oh my God. And jumping to the end when we see for Gary turns on, like, this soothes him, and you see the home movies of him growing up with the Kents. Just again, this was one of those things when you talk about the good and the not always goods of James Gunn. This was one of the goods.
Yeah, Michael, this is the thing that frustrated me, because there was a narrative that came about before the movie came out of like, well, James Gunn doesn't do emotional scenes really well in his movies. And I'm like, are you guys brain dead? Fucking Yondu's death, the scene with Quill in the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy with his mom. Like, there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes through his films that people don't seem to give enough credit to. Even in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, where you sense that they were all going to separate, there's these really touching moments that go on throughout all of his movies. So Mom, Pa Kent delivered some powerful emotional punch for the limited amount of screen time. I think of her saying, you know, I'm gonna get your boots ready, or I've got your boots ready, you know, and him and the mush stuff, that's all really sweet as well. But his love for his son and the guidance he gives his son, he starts out at the beginning of the movie, it's the Kryptonian parents who soothe him. At the end, it's his parents. After we'll get to that controversial decision. What did you think about Mom, Pa Kent here?
Well, it's interesting that of all the things that really just get under people's skin in Superman movies, the portrayal of the parents is a big one.
Yeah.
And you can't, I mean, I'm trying really hard not to like get into a Man of Steel versus Superman thing, but this is one area where I think you sort of have to do it. I, for years, have had it, and we've debated it, and I know you both like it better, but like, for years, I've had an issue with the way that Mom and Pa Kent were portrayed in Man of Steel. The Kevin Costner, and whether it's more realistic or not, the Kevin Costner, like, you know, I don't think maybe you shouldn't help people. Like, I don't know if the world is ready. I'm really worried about my alien son. And Diane Lane and Kevin Costner, when you cast them as the Kents, there is a sexiness. There is a power to them. There's a lot going on there. But because Zack Snyder made the choice that in his version of the story, it was Lois Lane that was going to anchor his humanity, Clark's humanity, the Kents were there to do a different thing.
Right.
And I'm not the only, that is something that certain fans of Superman have always kind of had an issue with. And other people are like, you're dumb. This was my favorite moment of the movie. In this, the leaks that came out ahead of time were like, oh, James Gunn made the Kents stupid. He made them stupid. He made them country hicks. And again, you read that and you're like, oh God, what did James Gunn do? Well, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
He made them real.
Yep.
To Shannon's point, you look at those two people on screen and they are not the imagined embodiment of the powerful country folk of American folklore. These are real people that live in Middle America.
Yeah.
This is just real. And the point of this movie is not that Clark was lucky enough to land in a field where two very smart, strong, assertive country folk lived. He landed in any field America. And these completely average people found this alien and imbued him with a level of humanity that led him to become this guy.
Yeah.
And when you see these people that look like not just Shannon, I had a couple friends from Ohio that were sitting next to me in the movie last night. And every time the Kents were on screen, they just beamed from ear to ear. Like, these are real. This is what your Mima and Pop Pop look like. And the fact that they were so sort of simple was not a critique of people in Middle America. It wasn't making fun of people in Middle America. It was honoring these people in Middle America. It was this simple humanity and this just pure love that they had for their son that made it powerful. When Jonathan Kent comes down and sits next to Clark, the fact that he just sits down and before he gets into anything, talks about the burrito place. Yeah. That him and Martha and even the way it's written really specific. Well, me and your ma and Hector and them went to that burrito place. And it's just like, he doesn't know how to talk about stuff. And then he says that Luann seems really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's just, and then he gets around to the meat of it. And it's just so beautiful and contrasts sharply with the choices that James Gunn made about Jor-El and Lara, which we'll get to in a minute. But I was so charmed. And look, that again, kind of to your guy Gardner, I don't know that this is not my ideal Jonathan and Martha Kent from reading years of comics and watching all the animated things and stuff. Like, I have a different idea of who Jonathan and Martha Kent are in my mind, but this version and this take of them, particularly for this world that James Gunn is creating, I loved. And to Shannon's point, at the end, when Gary was like, should we play the video of his parents? It soothes him. I was like, the fuck is he talking about? That video doesn't suit. And then when all of the footage of the Kents came up, boy, gut punch. Yeah. But did I tear up? Sure did. Yeah. Like that. And like watching David Corenswet laying there in that chair, beaming from ear to ear as he's watching home movies of his parents raising him. Like that's the point of the movie, that it is this humanity that makes him super, not the fact that he's from Krypton.
Right. And it's just as it revitalizes him just like the sun. That love his parents have for him gives him just as much strength as the sun. Mikey, back to you. Come on, give it to me. What are your thoughts, Krypto? I mean, a lot of people think he stole the movie along with Mr. Terrific. What did you think of how Krypto was used in the film?
He is best doggy. He is best doggy. Like, he was so good. He was like, I mean, look, I was always on board. I know a lot of people in the trailers were like, they thought Krypto was a little much. They thought they kind of like showed too much Krypto. They didn't think he fully worked. They were a little concerned. Had a lot of friends that were like, wait, Superman is a dog with a cape. A lot of concerns about Krypto going in. He literally steals the movie. He's the Groot of the DCU right now. Like, he was so adorable, so cute, and everything James Gunn said about basing Krypto on his dog who he loved but misbehaved a lot, you could see the specificity of someone who knows what it's like to have that dog. Like, when that dog is sitting on Lois's lap in Mr. Terrific's ship, and Lois is trying to get him to move, and Krypto's doing that thing that dogs do when they know they're doing something. They won't look at you. They look anywhere else except you. She's like, hey, dog. He's like, I'm not moving. Like, that was such a dog thing to do.
Yeah.
And like the brilliance of, and it worked both times. Like, when Mr. Terrific was trying to find them in the pocket dimension, and he saw a flying dog, and Krypto looked dead at that little T-sphere and came at it, I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And then at the end, when Superman was like, oh, you're watching this fight through all those cameras, and that's how you tell Ultraman what to do? Hey, Krypto, get the toy. And watching Krypto take out every one of them as Lex is running around his little evil, supervillain IT room. It was great. And then when Krypto flew in at the end and they did the Hulk Loki bit,
Yeah.
And they straight up just did the Hulk Loki bit. Like that was, you watch it, you're like, yes, this is, I remember when I saw Avengers and the Hulk smacked Loki around and John Rocha stood up in his chair and cheered because he loved it so much.
It was amazing.
And it worked again. Yeah. Same moment. You can say he copied it. I don't care. Like Krypto flew into that room, attacked Lex, and everyone is screaming and going, "Oh, oh!" And Superman's like, "God, dude, come on. What are you doing?" And I loved it.
I mean,
and I can't wait. And I know that Krypto has a big role to play in Supergirl, and I can't wait to see him in that.
Yeah. Having him be the one that beats up Lex Luthor is a way of cheating what you want Lex Luthor to get, which is an ass kicking from Superman. So
it is the classic superhero dilemma, particularly with Superman, which is there's a part of us, because we are all evil, dirty humans. There's a part of us that wants to see the bad guy get the shit kicked out of them. But we also don't want Superman, who is so much more powerful, to kick the shit out of Lex Luthor. But the dog can do it.
Right. Mike, Shannon, your thoughts on the dog here? What do you think of Krypto here?
Outstanding. I think when we heard prior to seeing the first trailer that Krypto was going to be pretty heavily featured, like again in the past, based off of like Saturday morning cartoons and comics, it's like, okay, I could see where it could work. Like that League of Super Pets movie. I'm like, that's actually a cute movie.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I don't know how it's gonna fit, but okay. And then when you see, and I'm like, there's no way he's gonna be in a cape. The first trailer, we see him in a cape. I'm like, not so sure. The cape aside, the dog worked incredibly well. He was so cute. The only issue I had is once Clark got hit with the sunlight from the Superman robots and Krypto whined, Clark didn't go back and pet him. I'm like, you go back. But then when you get to the end of the movie and Kara shows up and you're like, that girl put that cape on that dog.
Oh, yeah.
Every Paris Hilton wannabe that carries their dog in a purse, I'm like, they would 100% put a matching cape on their little dog. So, I mean, agree. I totally agree during the action scenes, like how much fun it was to watch Krypto just wreck house, especially from the point of view of a camera where you see this mouth come up. I thought Krypto was great. And I know that was probably a big point of hesitation for probably most audiences. Like, there's a dog with a cape. I think if you get into a theater, I think that criticism, there is stuff to criticize in the movie. That is not going to be one of the points of criticism, in my opinion.
I think this is where you have to give incredible respect to James Gunn for making this. Was a bold decision for all the stuff about the movie that's fun and interesting and playful and connected to the comics. Bringing Krypto in, that's a massively bold decision, deceptively so, because this could have easily become irritating, a crutch. It could have easily been like, when things aren't, we're just gonna have a cute moment with the dog. But that dog is ornery. That dog is contentious. That dog is constantly literally nipping at his heels about everything. And then occasionally is a dog by whimpering for attention, gonna miss it. But then when Supergirl shows up, which is a great cameo, thanks, bitches. I mean, I think that was just, everything about that works. And you go, of course, that's her dog. 100% that's her dog. And the fact that he is slamming her into the ground and shattering stuff. I mean, just all of that was so great, along with what you pointed out, Michael, him being used to destroy those cameras to help him with the fight with Ultraman. I thought was genius. So yeah, it's such great stuff. Okay, what about the Ultraman? Real quick, like, because I know we're way over an hour. We got questions to get to. What about the Ultraman stuff? Did we like the way that worked? Did we enjoy that, or was that maybe a step too far in the approach here from the Luthor side of things? Shan, what'd you think?
No, I thought it totally worked. It totally worked. I mean, it was clear the moment that Lex and the engineer and Ultraman walked up and the insignia popped up and the Fortress of Solitude came out of the ground. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's Ultraman. that's the clone. No, I mean, I thought everything worked, and I can't wait to see Ultraman come back as Bizarro, which I'm guessing is going to happen.
Yeah, because he goes into that black hole, but he doesn't die. So yeah, Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Ultraman is kind of one of the weaker parts of the movie, only because, like, so I think the engineer is cool. Like, the engineer is just a cool. Like, engineer has cool powers, and she is used in a smart way. Like, we use the engineer to get the video of Jor-El and Lara. The engineer is there to be the muscle, in addition to Ultraman, that Lex Luthor is not, because he's the brains. And so she works really well. Even like the battle at the end and her covering him with all the nanites and all that. Ultraman is sort of this set up to be sort of this big mystery. Like, he's wearing the suit, what's under the suit. And then you get to the end of the movie and you have this reveal. And the reveal that he's a clone of Superman is like, I think we all kind of knew that. Yeah. You know, like, there was no surprise to that. There was no like, holy shit moment. Maybe, and I'm with Shannon. I mean, he is a dumb clone of Superman. Like, he might as well have a backwards B over his head right now. Like, you know, like, it is like, I'm assuming somewhere down the road, he's going to Bizarro out and show up. And maybe had he gone more Bizarro, had he started to like disobey, like but there was already so much going on. So it was fine. And having a Superman fight a clone of himself at the end gave you the third act, beat him up, CG, like, let's all fight. But that was the one part of the movie where I was like, okay, let's go to the other stuff. Like, it just didn't really interest me. And also, to be fair, because I know that this is going to come up, it's the one moment where I wish, like, look, I know he didn't die. He went into the black hole. And I know that Superman was in the middle of fighting this guy and was doing what he could. But I really wish Superman had tried to save him from going in the black hole. Like, if I'm gonna bitch and moan for years that Henry Cavill twisted Zod's neck at the end of Man of Steel, I can't sit here and say this was fine. Like, I wish that they did such a good job every other place in the movie of having Superman, even when he's in the baseball stadium and he's fighting the engineer and he's like, hey, there's still time. You don't have to do what Lex tells you. Like, he's always trying. And then in this battle at the end, he sort of like, sorry, buddy, and the guy went away. And I kind of wish something had happened and he had tried. I still think he should have gone in the black hole. We should have gotten rid of him. I want him to come back as Bizarro. But this is a moment where I'm like, I think that's the one moment where they had Superman do something that this is the guy that saved the squirrel. Like, it was a little bit against character, and I wish he had reached out there. But other than that, like, I don't think there's anything bad about Ultraman, and there's so much other stuff going on that it didn't detract from the movie. But this Ultraman, every time he was on screen, was a big sort of like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, I didn't really care one way or the other.
Yeah. Sorry to those of you who are engineer fans. We didn't give enough time, but Maria Gabriela de Faria is who plays the engineer, and yeah, she was really good for the moments that she had in the movie. So, Mike, thanks for bringing that up for sure.
But we didn't talk about Jor-El and Lara.
I was just going to bring that up. Yes. Trying to get to stuff. All right. So, Michael, let's swing back to you since you are alluding to it. What did you think about the engineer and Lex figuring out the rest of the message here that had supposedly been cut off when his ship crash landed on Earth? And the message is basically, don't get mad at me.
Fuck a lot of women.
Terraform the Earth and have sex with a lot of women and take over the planet. What did you think of that, Michael? Because they don't come back and say that was doctored footage. They don't.
No, it's real.
So it's real, right?
It's real.
And there's Force in the comics and Krypton, but the show Krypton. But go ahead.
It is interesting to me because it didn't bother me even a little bit. I was like, oh, that's cool. But what I do find fascinating right now, and I tweeted it yesterday, I have to respect it. Like, as someone who has been so annoyed for so many years about the way Zack Snyder portrayed Jonathan Kent, I can't dismiss everyone who is now so upset about the way James Gunn is portraying Jor-El. Like, to me, I'm totally fine with kind of doing whatever you want with Jor-El and Lara. I think they are a less important part of Clark's upbringing than Jonathan and Martha are. That's always been my take on Superman. But watching the reaction that people have been having to making Jor-El and Lara more arch or evil, saying we sent you to Earth because these people are simple. It's going to be easy for you to take over, rule over them. You can destroy anyone who stands up against you, go have sex with a lot of women, give yourself a harem, spread your seed. I was like, oh, okay, we're going the Invincible route. Cool. Like we turned the Kryptonians into Viltrumites a little bit. And I thought that was really interesting. And again, for the purposes of what James Gunn wanted to talk about, saying it is not the Kryptonians that made Superman super.
Yeah.
It is these people in Kansas that made him super. That is James Gunn's thesis and point. And because that point aligns more with my opinion of Superman, it doesn't bother me. But watching the people that are really bent out of shape about that, who are like, look, Jor-El in Donner's Superman, in Snyder's Superman, in Singer's Superman, because it's really just Donner's Superman, Jor-El is I'm the one who's giving you your purpose. I'm the one who's telling you what to do. And so I get why people are upset. It really, truly doesn't bother me. Also, I've read so many versions of Krypton throughout the years. As someone who's been reading comics since I was a kid, Krypton and how it looks and what they're like and why they act the way they act has changed so many times. And as you allude to, even in Smallville, Jor-El wanted Clark to take over. So I feel like I've seen so many versions that it bothered me less, but I respect people's upsetness about it because it would be hypocritical for me not to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I it didn't bother me at all either. And because I'm not so tied to Jor-El needs to be this or that, like whatever your version is that works for the story you're going to tell, if you can make it work, I'm in. But a lot of people are saying it's controversial. Oh, how could they break the lore? And it's like, well, you clearly haven't read enough if you think it's breaking the lore, because he's been different. There have been different versions of him throughout the whole interpretation of Superman in numerous ways. So this was just the interpretation they want to go with for this movie. And I think it worked. It didn't bother me. What about you, Shannon? Did it bother you?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I thought this was an interesting choice to make.
I mean, love how maybe the harem thing, but other than
I mean, yeah, sure, that's fair. The way Russell Crowe is portrayed as Jor-El in Man of Steel, I loved. I loved how integral he was to Clark's journey in that movie. But at the end of the day, when you look at the history, Jor-El and Lara are Clark's biology. The Kents are his heart and soul. And so having a different take that really didn't bother me. And in my headcanon, again, this is not on the page at all. This is me filling in the blanks up here. In my head, I'm like, Jor-El's sort of like, I was not strong enough to save my planet. I didn't speak up when I should have spoken up.
Right.
I want you to go to a planet and you speak up. You're going to go and be the leader. The harem thing, yeah, that complicates the headcanon a little.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a very sweet headcanon. That's not what they are saying.
Hey, climb in here and tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I like Stephanie.
Well, and again, I mean, the harem thing, I think that's where the harem thing really throws people, because I do think if you're just like, I want you to lead these people anywhere, anything that's I want you to lead these people, you can go, oh, well, he meant this. Like when you're like, go spread your seed and make a new Krypton and do whatever, you're like, no, that's pretty clear. And look, I mean, John is not wrong. And it's the same thing I said, like there's so many versions of Krypton that it doesn't bother me. I do understand that for by and large, whether it's the animated series, all the different animated series or the comics, whatever, by and large, right. Jor-El and Lara are treated as these two people that did stand up to the powers that be at Krypton, that did speak out when there's a lot of cool stuff. And if you really like those characters, then being like, go fuck a bunch of people and take over, I understand why that would upset you. But I do like, and even the fact that they did cast Bradley Cooper as casting Bradley Cooper as Jor-El, having the most attractive, beautiful people as them, and these salt of the earth people as the Kents, you really do see like James Gunn tried to make the biggest distinction he could between them. And when you get to the end of the movie and Clark, like we said, and Clark wants to look at his family and you see the Kents, like I think it really does work, but I get why people are upset. I also think on the harem front, the last thing I'll say about it is that one of the things that I really did love about the movie, when we talk about, is the movie making parallels to real life, or is real life just so crazy that we can't help but see the parallels? And you could argue that either way. But the way that they treated the reveal of the video with the news story coming out and Lex being on that Jesse Waters show and talking about it, and then the president of Baravia
picking it up and being like, oh, well, I hear he thinks Baravian women are very sexy for his hair. I'm like, you watched Superman dealing with the Fox Newsification of the world. Like you saw something happening in a comic book movie that is exactly how, like, it doesn't, whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, we see this happen every day. You know, James Gunn says Superman is an immigrant, and The View talks about it, and The Five talk about it, and Kellyanne Conway talks about it, and everyone's talking about it. And it becomes, the fact that we had a story about Superman and his immigrant status kind of flare up and go everywhere in the news cycle. And then we went to see Superman, and Superman's alien status, and is he here to invade us, flared up and took over the news cycle. And, well, is he here to do this? What the fuck? It was a little bit too real, but in a really cool way.
Yeah. I do want to highlight this comment from the great Stephanie Litz, who watches our shows, but I'd still like to know, where do I apply to join Clark's harem? So
by the way, no.
Oh,
can I apply? Does it work? I don't know how biology works. Can I be in the harem?
Yeah,
your type is tall, dark, and Martian.
Hey-o. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to get into that the cameos. What did you guys think? I guess real quick, the cameos, we had Supergirl roll up in here, and we had Peacemaker, who was on. Of course he was on. By the way, Michael Ian Black playing the Jesse Waters type. Michael is so damn liberal. It is hilarious that he's the one playing him. So it was perfect. So what did you guys think of Peacemaker and the Supergirl cameo being a part of this? Shane, you already alluded to the Maxwell Lord thing, but what about the other two? What did you guys think of those?
Supergirl, great. Again, love that. Someone did point out correctly in the chat, like, when she gets back, wouldn't the alcohol kind of burn off? Maybe, or maybe she was that drunk before the Yellow Sun. It's taken its time. So this is the result of the Yellow Sun. John Cena popping up. I love to hear a reaction from a crowded theater.
Sorry, guys. Keep going.
I love to hear a reaction from a crowded theater that is coming and no one else does. That's one of the joys of seeing things multiple times on opening weekend. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, in any other world, does Peacemaker pop up in a Superman movie? No. But it's because it is James Gunn's Peacemaker. He is 100% going to pop up. And also, knowing how tied Peacemaker season 2 is to the new DC, I'm super jazzed. And I'm super jazzed that Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. got introduced in live action, and the big part he's going to play in Peacemaker season 2. And yeah, I mean, Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord. I know a lot of folks have issue with this casting. One, Nepo brotherness of it, and also the fact that Sean Gunn, when you look at the way Maxwell Lord has been portrayed in the comics, he doesn't necessarily seem like the guy that you would go to this. But again, him being the Mark Cuban of the DCU, I think is super fun. Mikey, what were your favorite cameos?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the Maxwell Lord, again, I think there's probably a lot on the cutting room floor. One of my other critiques is I don't really understand the Justice Gang and what their role is in the bigger scheme of things. Like, I love them and I love when they showed up, but like, we didn't really get a sense of how corporate superheroes worked.
Yeah.
And the fact that we just got the little Maxwell Lord sort of thing at the end, great line, but I was like, okay, well, this is another thing that I wished we had more time, like 10 more minutes to get into. Peacemaker was great. We know Peacemaker season 2 is coming. We know we're going to get a lot of cameos in that as well. So seeing him pop up was kind of that's cute. But I think the real cameo is Kara, like coming in at the end. Particularly because for most people, that take on Supergirl was so surprising. Like, it's not just that she shows up, which is cool, but it is a shocking cameo. She kind of crashes in. Who moved the door? We didn't move the door. There's my dog. The dog attacks her, and then she's like, "Thanks for watching my dog, bitch," and gets out of there. And you're like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" Now, what's really cool about it, and we were talking about this when we got out, if you have read Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow, which this Supergirl movie that's coming out a year from now is based on, it opens up with Kara on a planet with a red sun getting wasted with Krypto. Yeah. So when she takes off with Krypto and Superman explains that she gets drunk on red sun planets, this Supergirl movie can pick up virtually seconds after Superman and we'd be fine. And so that made me really excited. Like I kind of came out and I'm like, I'm ready for Supergirl now. So I thought like cameos they did in the way that they used them, Maxwell Lord and Peacemaker were pretty sparing, just there to sort of lend color to what was going on. And then Supergirl came in to really set herself up for her movie and get people prepared for the type of Supergirl that we're going to see. And so I thought that was all really, really well done.
Yeah, I love the Peacemaker one. Just is brilliant. I love the Supergirl. I really did. I was like, look, you can be offended all you want of this interpretation, but they're going after the younger people. You, as an older person, you either get on board or get the fuck off. There's no trying to make this fit what you remember you grew up with in the 80s or 90s or early 2000s. This is a different approach, and as you said, Michael, based on that book, which I have here, I got to finish reading it. It's a fun, new, interesting interpretation. It will alienate some people, but I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people.
Yes.
And James is smart. This is the smart way to go. So you can't deny that there's a genius in that. And I hope it works overall. And yeah, the Maxwell Lord stuff was I thought he was going to be in more of the movie. So I was a little surprised. It was only
I have a feeling he was at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say the 20 minutes that were cut, I think the things we've been alluding to were probably in those 20 minutes. And so I'd like to see, hopefully that gets released when this thing gets released on home video, that those 20 minutes are there as deleted scenes, so we can see maybe a little bit more of the background.
Well, it is interesting. Like Lex Luthor is Lex Luthor, and he runs Luthor Corp, and that's a giant company. But in this Lord tech, like even at the beginning in the interview, like Lois's phone that Clark doesn't know how to turn on and off is a Lord tech phone. Right. So we know that Maxwell Lord is also a tech guy, and then Simon Stagg is also a big kind of businessman, and Stagg Industries, like when Clark goes into that one big building after the whole reveal of his parents comes out and the Justice Gang comes in and Guy covers the windows, that's Stagg Industries, which is tied to Metamorpho. So like we have these other giant companies that were just kind of put in there with not a lot of context, but I'm curious to see where that goes. And then with Rick Flag, I mean, I think one of the things I really loved about this movie, it's a tiny little thing, but it's the final moment when Rick Flag is at the Pentagon with that other dude, and they're watching the Jahamporians kind of celebrate the Justice Gang, and the guy's like, hey, I'm glad you're not concerned about the metahumans because they're calling the shots now. Like, even though this is a world that has had metahumans for 300 years, you really do get the sense that the events of this movie and Superman inspiring the Justice Gang to fly over to Baravia and do what they did is kicking off a new era for the metahumans. And I think I'm really interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, I like. Well, go ahead, Mike. Shannon, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say really quickly, in the Hall of Justice, there in the background, you can see a portrait of the Justice Gang with a fourth person, and that's probably Maxwell Lord. And if you look at the top, and Kalinowski pointed this out last night, I didn't see it until today. At the top, there is a mural of the Justice Society. Like you can very clearly see Wildcat. Wow. So I mean, again, if you like Easter eggs and we'll go see a movie for one scene, like I will, the Hall of Justice scene is one to really pay attention to.
Dude, when the Hall of Justice popped up on the screen, I had to hold on to the side of my theater seat because I was nerdgasming like crazy because it looked so good on that screen. So it was nice to see that.
There's something about, and look, I'm not dogging on Marvel because we all know I love Marvel movies, but there is something about a movie that just takes what you've seen in comic books and cartoons and puts it unapologetically on screen exactly the way that you would see it in a comic book or a cartoon without any kind of filter of like, now we're going to change it or tweak it or do anything. That is very satisfying.
Yeah, agree. Well, what would you say? Okay, so before we get into the questions, I want to do one last thing, which is because we'll get our thoughts at the end. But like, what are your criticisms of the movie in a nutshell? If you haven't already mentioned them, are there any specific critiques that you would have liked to have seen better in the film? I guess we'll start with
Shannon. It's a longer list.
The 2, the 3. The 4, no, the 3. It's all character design stuff. Like
design.
Okay. The kaiju,
Oh yeah.
James Gunn with kaiju, thinking especially like the Suicide Squad, they're a little plush toy like. So when the moment that van opens up and Otis and the guy that we'll get into in a second, let the little mini kaiju out, the Stitch out essentially, and like him running and like blowing something on fire, I'm like, oh, that's really funny. Him as a like the giant monster, stomping down the streets. I'm like, it just looks, it just doesn't look threatening. And granted, that's not this world. Would I in my headcanon have done something different? Yeah. I mean, I would have gone more Godzilla than again, Giant Stitch. So it immediately just doesn't feel as threatening when it just looks so like something you would have put a quarter in with the skill claw and, pulled out of the, skill claw machine. The evil IT guys, they're fine. The one guy who apparently is like James Gunn's good friend, and he gave him the role of a lifetime.
The dude with the glasses? The dude with the glasses?
Yes, those stupid. The cast off from the Yellow Submarine, the reject from Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club.
Wow,
If this is what you want to do, like this younger group of people who are basically gamifying fighting Superman, I'm kind of like, okay, I can get on with that. I mean, again, it is very similar to the Sovereign and Guardians 2, but the guy with those stupid glasses, the giant Coke bottle glasses, and his ridiculous mustache, I'm like, this is such a specific choice that it took me out. I mean, that's why the beginning of the movie and also the leader of Baravia, I'm like, I get that there is a real world basis for how they designed that guy. It was just too much for me. And getting all of that up at the beginning, I'm like, man, I don't know. I feel like you went too far in a few areas. But as the movie goes on, it becomes less pronounced. I mean, but last night as we were watching, because I told Kalinowski my issue with Coke bottle glasses as well. He looked over, he was like, you ball up anytime that guy comes on screen. And like that guy, it wasn't a bad performance. That was a perfectly fine performance. Yeah. It was just the way I'm like, why would you, you've got this great painting and then you threw something up there that just doesn't belong. Those are my main quibbles.
I think I agree with you as far as Mustache Guy and the whole crew. It was weird because they didn't give you any kind of background on how they got together. What's the whole point? Like, it's just they're working for Luthor and that's it, right? And his Otis guy, I thought his Otis guy was good for what he was able to do, but it still.
I wish you'd given him more. Yeah, give him all glasses lines. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was like it's the middle where I have a little bit of trouble. It stumbles a little bit in the middle, and it's because it's throwing all this stuff at you and not giving you enough to like take a moment to go, okay, what is this now? All right, we're doing this, and especially how quickly people turn just because of that message. We're a much more cynical society. We believe alternative facts are there all over the place, so I don't think people would immediately be like, "Oh my God, fuck Superman." I think it would actually take a little bit of time to get to that point. The fact that it happened like within seconds, to me, that was an issue. And yes, I would have liked a little bit more of the Luthor motivation, even though I bought into it and understood myself. Looking at it objectively from outside, for a casual person, I think it would have been good to give a little bit of background of Luthor's hate for Superman. But that's pretty much the only issues I have for the movie. Michael, what about you? What did you have?
Man, I don't know if you're paying attention to the real world, but I think people absolutely turn that fast. I don't know if go like check anything on Twitter. Yeah, I think that my issues are
Twitter's not real life, but all right. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like I said earlier, like I wish we had. I mean, I think Lois Lane is great every time she's on screen. I wanted a little bit more investigative reporting on her part. I do think that there is probably some honing of Lex Luthor's motivation. Yeah, that could have been done. I think everything that's there works. It's enough for me, but I do agree that there's probably a couple key moments where you could have had him say something specific that would have kind of tightened all that up. Like I said, the Ultraman stuff was probably to me the most sort of ho-hum. Like I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I do think, and again, I imagine that this is what was cut, but I do think a little bit more information about the Justice Gang and corporate superheroes. I think that they got to what they wanted to. That Superman did things his way. He flew right in. The Justice Gang sort of showed up when they were told to show up. And then at the end, they made the choice to go do something the way Superman would. So particularly even as little as it is, that moment where Hot Girl comes out of the shower and she sees the kid with the flag and she kind of looks at it like they got there. But I have a lot of questions about the rules of this universe and the fact that I have to answer a lot of tweets about what Mr. Terrific's powers are. And so I do think there's things like that got lost. Other than that, like, you know, are there some jokes that don't land because James Gunn's humor gets a little clunky sometimes? Sure. But to Shannon's point, in the mixed bag that you get, we're getting way more good than we're getting bad. And all in all is good. So like, you know, there's definitely little moments that I would go, no, I would have tweaked this. I would have added that. I would have made this a little bit different. But on the whole, I mean, I'm just so happy with what we got, both as a Superman movie and as the kickoff to this new universe.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's get to these questions. We have 48 of them. So I hope you guys are strapped in for these. All right, let's get it on. Gareth Tucson says, I liked individual characters, however, didn't like the tone. Felt goofy, didn't feel as grounded as other iterations. Plus, some acting was shocking. Wow, I probably disagree with just about every word you put there in that post, but of course, you're more than welcome to your opinion. And there are some critics who felt this way, especially over there in the UK, guys. So what are your thoughts on this?
You know, I do think there's a 20% rule. I think we talked about this on the first night when Shannon and I saw it with some friends. Like, I love the world and the tone, and I appreciate that it's so different from what we're used to getting from Marvel. Is there a world where you could pull it back 20% and make it a little bit more grounded, but still keep this Silver Age wackiness? Maybe. But all in all, I'm kind of like, I'm excited to see where this world goes. I get that it's not everyone's cup of tea. But to me, it felt like in the world of superhero movies, it was like a breath of fresh air.
Shannon, any thoughts on this? Move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this film is going to convert anyone that was dead set on not liking it.
Fair point. You can find stuff to not like. That's a good point. Cowboys fan 92. Happy Friday, boys. What's up, Cowboys fan? I'm seeing Superman tomorrow. Can't wait to listen to this on the replay. I'm so ready. Rachel's going to kill it. I already know it. Looking forward to seeing David as Superman as well. Also, might I say, as a Snyder fan, I'm looking forward to this new era of DC. By the way, this film is easily making over 25 million by the end. I think he means 250 million by the end of the weekend because it's already making 25 million for sure. Yeah, that's the battle. Kalinowski and I battling all over social media. I mean, it's not like he has my phone number, could text me, but he felt the need to go public and has an issue with the box office situation. So we will see what happens with that. But I think for sure this one is, I think this is going to end well past 700 million. I believe that even with some of the negative critiques, there's not enough of them that makes it feel like it's going to drown this movie.
Yeah, there's not enough negative critiques, and there's overwhelming positivity on social media right now, and it's already made 40 million globally in previews. And most articles are coming out now saying that, and we'll see, knock on wood, that it's going to blow past its estimates because of the positive reviews and the good word of mouth. So it's going to be interesting to see what it does this weekend.
Yeah, we will see. Derek Johnson felt it was a 6 out of 10 for me, but good, but not great. I didn't get those Iron Man 1 chills in the action, Easter eggs, or anticipation for what's coming. As a DC fan, not going to go into that Jor-El shit because I'll start ranting. It lessened the movie for me. I can't stay but I'm gonna throw another 50 to make a smooth 100 of donations to one of my favorite shows on YouTube. And you know what? Throwing some more in just because. Rocha, there is nothing here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, except trees and cattle. Reminds me of Virginia circa 1995. Yes. Anybody know anything up here to do? Yeah, he is. Our friend Derek Johnson is in Sioux Falls, trying to figure out what to do with his life there on a business trip. But gentlemen, address his comments here, clearly not on the more positive side on this, and mad about the Jor-El stuff, as some people are.
Well, we had actually talked about what were we expecting in terms of like a scale from 1 to 10, and like comparing it to what we were thinking for like Man of Steel. And I think I said if I get more than a 6.5 out of Superman, because 6.5 is what I had for Man of Steel, I'm like, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
First viewing, it was a 7. Second viewing, it was a 7.5. Third, it's somewhere in between 7.5 and 8. I mean, it is gaining estimation in my eyes the more I see it. But I also understand that most audiences, again, are not going to be going to see a movie repeatedly, especially in the first 3 days of release.
Good point. Mike, anything you want to address here?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think a lot of people are going to come out of this movie and go, I liked it. I didn't love it. Like, I think that this is not going to be an out there take. I also think him getting mad about the Jor-El stuff is not out there. That's a lot of people. And like I said, I kind of get it. I get that if Jor-El and that relationship is your thing. To Shannon's point, I'm kind of at an 8 out of 10 on Superman. And I think that if the DC universe continues to chug along, that could go up over time. Like, to me, Captain America, the First Avenger was maybe like a 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 the first time I saw it, only because that third act gets a little fast. Yeah. But where Captain America went over the course of multiple movies, Captain America, the First Avenger goes up and up in my viewing every time I watch it. And I think Superman has the potential to do the same.
I think Superman, I think Superman's going to be a fun one to watch whenever you catch it. It's going to be rewatchable as hell. And I think that's what, like a lot of James Gunn's movies, they are rewatchable as hell. So I would not be surprised that I'm still at an 8. I feel I'm solidly at an 8, and I can't see myself going up or down because the reasons it's at a 9 or a 10 are very solid reasons for me. And nothing is going to feel dated or old at this initially after seeing it. So Rakeshi Tripathi says, finally, I found my Superman. Always had Spider-Man and Batman, but finally a Superman. There you go.
I think a lot of people are feeling that way today.
Good point.
I just want to know who Rakesh's Spider-Man and Batman were.
Oh, good point. That's so many versions. That's right. Derek back again. What's up, Derek? Thank you. He says, love the side characters, and they did get some good story, but this is one time I felt they had too much and I needed more of Soups. No, that's it. Some people have said that in their complaints that this is called Superman. Why am I not seeing more of Superman with all of these characters taking a bit of real estate? But he's interacting with all these characters. Aside from maybe Tessmacher, he's interacting with everybody. So,
yeah, he does. I mean, like, he does get sidelined for the middle of the movie. I mean, he's there, he's present. But as soon as he turns himself in and gets put in the pocket dimension, the middle chunk of the movie is driven by Lois and Mr. Terrific going to find him. And then he's kind of like, making friends with Metamorpho and everything. But there is a chunk in the middle where he's kind of out of the action.
Yeah.
I think like the staff of the Daily Planet, like
yes, I meant to mention as a critique. Shannon, go ahead. Yes,
they don't have like a ton to do. I mean, with the exception of Jimmy. I mean, Perry White is a pretty beloved character, and Wendell Pierce is a fantastic performer, and so it's a shame we didn't get to see him do more. But like Cat Grant and Steve, they were there just to have someone for one of our main characters to chat with for a second. But my guess is that if the Superman franchise by itself keeps going, that hopefully we will get to see Lois doing some more clandestine reporting, sneaking into place. Hopefully we do get to see that special relationship that Perry and Lois have. I mean, hopefully that is stuff that is on the horizon.
I'll tell you what, I would love a studio would have to do it. I don't know, but I would love a Daily Planet series with Perry, with all the, I mean, they're all could be arguably TV actors that could work, except for, I know Rachel has done that, but like, I could imagine she would only dip in and out, but it could be fun to see that. Cause I agree. I've meant to mention that. That is a big criticism of mine. It's like, look, Wendell Pierce is a damn good actor. And the fact that he is in maybe 3 scenes and he commands those scenes when they're getting on the ship and when he says, call me Perry, and when he says, print that shit with a cigar. I mean, there is such great moments with him. I was like, give me more, man. Give me more. I love when everyone's freaking out because this thing is slicing open Metropolis. He is calmly listening to Lois's pitch. That's awesome. Give me more. So yeah. Kevin Frazier, thanks for the review, guys. Thank you, Kevin, for watching. Random, did either of you see Lex/Otis as football coaches calling plays during the hammer battle? A1 punch, C3, go, go, go. Good connection. I can see that. I don't have the problem with it that Shannon does. Like I thought he was a child playing video games, so he was calling out moves as if he would on his controller. But I can understand where Shannon's coming from.
I like the idea of it. I think it's more just, again, the stash and also the yeah. Like it just felt a little silly to me.
Yeah. Good point. I'm too like him. A 7.5 out of 10, in my opinion. I had fun and look forward to future projects. I think Gunn needs a script doctor or better editor. Honestly, I totally understand the complaints. Yes,
there's some clunky dialogue in there, like Again, I leaned over to Kalinowski last night when they're in the Fortress of Solitude, and Engineer's just like, Lex is talking about his issues with Superman. He's like, I know, Lex, I sacrificed my humanity. I'm like, save 3 seconds, cut that line, go to the next chunk of dialogue.
Right, because you're not going to follow that up with anything and explain it to us. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, exactly. Derek Johnson back is like, okay, I really got to go this time. Last donation. Hope you guys have a great show. Thank you.
It sounds like Sioux Falls is starting to hop if Derek really needs to get out of here.
Jay West, should Gunn do a director's cut of Superman because he has said that footage had to be cut out to make a 2-hour movie? I 100% think there should be a director's
Listen,
cut.
given the box office, given the potential box office we're going to get, if this movie does become a massive hit, we're absolutely getting this. There will be a director's cut, I'm sure.
If you can re-release Morbius, you can fucking re-release a director's cut of goddamn Superman.
Well, yeah. I meant when it comes out on like streaming and stuff, but sure.
Parker Holler says, liked it a lot, but needed 10 more minutes to help the pacing and develop characters more. I see a much better sequel in the future now that we're invested in the world and the hard work is done. I think it's fair. Yeah.
The pacing is choppy at the beginning. We had heard that one of the things that they were potentially going to do was breaking the movie up into days of the week. Like it was. And you definitely feel that at the beginning. I mean, it basically, once they take Superman to the Pocket Universe, I think it flows a lot better, despite the fact that Superman is kind of, relegated to being in a cell with Metamorpho. But the kind of choppiness that you feel at the beginning, that seems like it's a bit of a holdover from when that was the plan.
Fair point. Michael, anything you want to say? We're good to move on.
No, I mean, I think that he nailed it. And I think I've already talked about the 10 minutes that I would like to see in this movie several times.
True fan. Fred Tesla 314, a J Gunn film going to have trauma vibes. There you go, Fred. We'll see. Certainly a Swamp Thing or any of those others could. Samir says, DC fans are so back. Oh.
I do think DC fans are feeling pretty good today.
Yeah. Fred says, I didn't know I was going to get a Stitch cameo either. Yeah, that was really funny.
When that little Pokemon ran out of that van, I was like, well, I kind of looked around the audience. I was like, well, I hope everybody is still on board.
Qui-Gon Quiggs says, I did find it odd that Guy and Hawkgirl had what looked like JL on their costumes. Minor quibble, but odd if they're supposed to be the Justice Gang.
Did they? I thought they had like Lord Tech logos or something.
See the JL.
There can be, yeah.
That looks like a JG to me, not a JL. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. All right.
I need a closer look.
Okay. All right. Where were we? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kwai. Alex Hawley, Penguin Alex says, buddies, not a big DC/Superman fan, but this was incredible. Also got to see it Tuesday inside the Cincinnati Museum Center, the exterior of the Hall of Justice. Great Bizarro setup too. That's awesome.
That's cool. Also, I've seen a lot of tweets today that people are saying, like, I've never liked Superman before, but I loved this. Like, I really liked this Superman. So I know I'm not deluding myself that I do think we're going to get a lot of people saying it was good, not great, or it was a little too silly for me. But I also think we are getting people going, oh, now I get Superman. Like, I like this Superman.
Right. Good point. So Samir says, can't explain how happy I am with Soups and the DCU. Also, Jimmy Olsen, the pimp, is the real MVP.
Now that's based in something from the comics, right, Mikey?
Yeah, like, it's sort of like the fact that Jimmy Olsen, as dorky as he is on his adventures, like, he does end up with some hot chicks throughout his run of 80 years in DC Comics or whatever it is. And I think kind of like doubling down on that and kind of doing that, like, it gave us a different Jimmy Olsen than we're used to seeing.
Yeah. I didn't like it in the trailer. It works in the movie. It does work in the movie.
And like the scenes with him and Eve are very funny.
That should be the TV show. If they're really going to spin it off, it has to be them trying to make that relationship work while he's doing all this other stuff. That is comedy gold. Sarah Sampaio was so good. Julius White, walking in to see the movie right now. I hope this movie works for me. Just wanted to send you guys some support. Thank you.
You're going to have to tell us what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Samir says, my Mr. Terrific action sequence was chef's kiss.
So much fun. So much fun.
Shannon, you pointed out the needle drop. You're so right. And the way it all worked. Oh, so I was just like, this is James Gunn at his best when he does shit like this. Fantastic. No, so no one knows how to get the hell out of the way. Even John Madden says, as much as I hate Guy Gardner in the comics, I loved him in the movie. Yeah, because
I mean, he's great.
What?
He's not
What you do? The what?
The haircut. Oh, it's just so great. JM, the public's nonchalance during Kaiju's attacks and international imp invasion speaks volumes. Yeah, because they've been around for centuries, right? The metahumans and all of that. So
I mean, I just remember the amount of time. I mean, when James Gunn released that first picture of Superman putting on his boots while that giant thing was floating outside, and we spent hours is it Zod? Is it the Kryptonians? Is it this? When it's like, oh yeah, it's International Imp. They've got it. And while you're having this beautiful scene between them, Guy Gardner is hitting the thing with a giant green bat. Like,
yeah,
they've got it taken care of. Wham, wham, wham.
It was played for such great laughs. It was so good. Alex Hawley says, no, sorry. Evil John Madden says, I was wondering how I would like this movie, but I loved it. I have it just above the 78 Superman as the best Superman film ever. Woo! But Christopher Reeve is still the best Superman. Ooh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I understand why you might want to, but I can't. Gentlemen, would you put it above the 78 Superman?
Yeah, I would. Just movies are very different now than they were in the late 70s. I mean, there's a lot more to see. I think more you look at the performances in it, and Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder and Gene Hackman were incredible, and I think Corenswet, Brosnahan, and Hoult, they are right up there. And the thing is we're going to get to see more of this trio going forward, not just necessarily in Superman movies.
I mean, yeah, this is a sneak peek to the fact that I'm going to join Johnny and Steve Morris on the Cinephiles to discuss the Donner Superman. But I do think that as much as I love the Donner Superman, hold it in reference, the third act of that movie with Gene Hackman wanting to like get some beachfront property and Superman flying backwards and turning back time is iconic because it is what it is, but I don't know that it's better than what we now have.
Fascinating. I'll have to disagree with my two esteemed colleagues. I still love that movie to pieces, and there's just a nostalgia to it. Alex Holly, I loved Guy. Jimmy and terrific most of all. Love the song and his scene. Glad T might get his own show. Jimmy too. I hope Guy and Tess show up too. Yeah, I mean, like,
and this is like where DC, no matter what happens, this is where DC has to be really, Warner Brothers and DC and everybody have to be happy today. The fact that coming out of this movie, everyone is like, yeah, I'd watch a Jimmy Olsen show. Yeah, Mr. Terrific should have his own show. Yeah, I'm glad Guy Gardner's on Lanterns. There's going to be a Superman. Like, I know we're going to get others, but we're going to get like a straight Superman sequel, right? Like, I want to see a sequel to this movie in addition to everything else. That means we're hooked.
Yeah.
The drugs worked.
Evil John Madden says now Superman. Oh wait, hold on. Where is it? Yeah. Superman. Now that is an illegal alien I can get behind. LOL. I knew you were going to say some shit, Evil John Madden. I just knew it. You were being too nice, and eventually you got to it. Wacky Wally sent in a super sticker. Thank you, Wacky Wally. Appreciate that. Evil John Madden is back to say, I loved Hoult as Luthor, but Hackman's real estate scam was better. LOL. And I love that Lex had a guy named Otis. LOL.
This Lex had a guy named Otis. He just got eclipsed by Knucklehead with a Beatles haircut and a mustache.
The Superman's Pa Kent was 1,000% more times better than Man of Steel. Pa Kent Costner was a douche.
Oh.
I'm gonna go. Okay, so just so we're clear, I've started a new show called The Truth, and it goes on Sundays. And I talk about my truth about something, and I'm going to break down Man of Steel, and I'm coming after everybody who's come after him in that portrayal because I think it's an amazing portrayal. It's a damn good Pa Kent. It's a Pa Kent for that universe. And here we see our universe where people are turning people in, people are arresting people on the streets. And so that's the place he was coming from. So people coming for him because he's a douche just because he said maybe. I mean, what? Do you don't think sometimes humanity shouldn't be saved? I think sometimes
he said maybe to a 13-year-old.
I disagree inherently with all of it.
I know you do, but 13-year-olds have heard worse from their fathers. Love the film. Only wish it was 20 minutes longer. I think that's a comment.
I think we're going to get that 20 minutes at some point.
It's the irony, isn't it? Like people were like, oh, the screenings, we had to cut 20 minutes out of the movie. And here we are. Most people are saying, I want those 20 minutes back. So I think I wonder if James is like just tapping his fingers on the desk going, I told you, motherfuckers. Francisco Lopez, hey, did you know Superman is an illegal immigrant after years of reading comics, watching movies and shows? I'm just finding out. Says this shit is so stupid. Really, they going after Superman because of that. Something that's part of his history over the years. Superman was really good. I think the first half was a bit loopy, but second half really got better. I love the Peacemaker cameo. It was great and funny. I agree. Yeah, people just trying to drum up negativity because this is what they have to do. They have to constantly feed the machine, and you have to fabricate anger at something in order to keep them happy. And then Dean Cain jumping in, of course. Fantastic. Why do they keep inviting him to cons? To me, it's mind blowing. Anyway, Fantastic 314. The Geek Buddies of the Justice Gang. Who's who? Oh, well, of course.
I think it's pretty clear, but I think it's clear. That's all I'm gonna say. Do we want to do this? Who do you think? We all know who Johnny is.
Fuck you, you know who I am.
I mean,
the what? The what? The what and the what?
So the question really is, who am I? Who is Shannon?
Well, you know, I mean, when you talk about lacking a point of view, I guess you could say that's me.
I feel like you are hot girl because you would just be like, whatever, guys. Yeah, sure. But then when the moment comes, you turn it on and you go after somebody.
I mean, like I can see Shannon flying down a hallway with a little mallet in his hands, screeching. Yeah. Like I can see it.
Maybe it's a normal size mallet.
Who's our mallet?
And I do think I'm the smartest person in the room most of the time.
Oh, I know. We know you do.
Well, and to Johnny, I think the Maxwell Lord, I think that's Vogel. That's Moneybags.
I think that's to make a reference to one of our friends. I think that's JG, Maxwell Lord. I think that could be.
Oh my god! So you're Guy Gardner, Shannon is Hot Girl, I'm Mr. Terrific, and Gabe is Maxwell Lord. 100% sold.
That's
he just threw his phone and then he picked it up again. Like, fair.
Thomas Edwards says, I liked but didn't love the film. Hated the backstory change. Had trouble understanding the Kents. We needed more time with Clark and the planet staff. You had trouble understanding the Kents? Okay. Thomas, you're from New Zealand. I think people have tough understanding the New Zealand accent. So
okay.
No, I'm saying we understand that because sometimes people do have a tough time understanding accents. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead.
That is a deep South accent.
It is.
They both had.
I grew up with those people in Virginia. To me, that was nice to see.
I do think over time, I mean, like just not because, I mean, as you're going to do your article, as you're going to do your episode of The Truth, I do find it fascinating that over time, I think, you know, this movie is going to perform how it performs. Man of Steel is still going to be a beloved movie to many, many people. The arguments about the portrayals of the Kents and Jor-El and Lara particularly, I do find fascinating because I do think where you fall on those arguments and what irks you and what doesn't says a lot about what your opinion of Superman, and not in a good or bad, not in a right or wrong way, but in a what makes Superman work for you seems to be really tied to are you more Jor-El? I'm more Jonathan Kent. And that's where Man of Steel got me. And the people who are more Jor-El, it really gets them. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, that's fair. Wacky Wally 8 says, thanks for your time. Great show as always. Thank you for watching. Katie O'Hara says, Mom, Pa Kent, we're not Kansas. The dialogue was, but the accents, etc., were more deep rural Arkansas or Appalachia made me cringe. Krypto was great. Now that's a valid criticism here. People in that region, is this an accent that makes sense? That you hear that accent? So maybe she's from Kansas. And it's not.
So Richard Christie, who is on the Howard Stern show, is from Kansas.
Okay.
And James Gunn called him and said, I want to do an authentic Kansas accent. Can your parents call me on the phone?
Wow.
And Richard Christie's parents called James Gunn and left him messages. Okay. And the actor and actress who played the Kents listened to those messages over and over and over again. And if you watch the Howard Stern show, Richard Christie gets really emotional talking about how when he sees the movie, it's going to be weird hearing them talk like his parents. So for what it's worth. Now, whether they succeeded or not, whether they nailed it or not, I'm not from Kansas. I'm not going to say. But I will say that I do know, just when reading the interview and watching the Howard Stern clip that somebody sent me, they definitely made an attempt to do it correctly.
That's fair. I didn't even know that. That's a great story, Mike. Thanks for that background. Wiley Todd, David Corenswet shines and the heart of Superman is there, but weak humor, bad music placements, and a messy story hold it back. It had great things, but the execution just didn't land for me. Yeah, some people feel this way. My friend JTE tweeted this out. I said he liked the acting, but the film itself didn't work for him overall because of some of the humor he didn't buy into and some of the goofiness. Some people can feel this way. Anything?
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I think that go ahead, Shannon.
The criticism of you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. Prior to seeing it, I'm like, that's crazy. Coming out of it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see where a lot of people are not going to like this. Like, I get it.
Good point. Derek's back from the bar from Sioux Falls. He says, Jor-El and Lara are so integral in Superman's life. You now have to take the Kryptonian story away. No more Zod. Can't have two eugenics crazy people. What do we do now with Supergirl's dad? Got to change his story too now. And that's going to be played by David Krumholtz. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is interesting, and I was actually talking with Brian Leonard about this. So a big part of the Woman of Tomorrow storyline is getting really into the backstory of how Kara kind of came to Earth a little bit later, but older, and like what she dealt with. And at least in the comic book, you get a lot of flashbacks to Krypton and what was going on. Right. So I wonder if her story and David Krumholtz playing Jor-El's brother is going to give more context to, is all of Krypton like this? Was this a Jor-El thing? Like, I actually really am curious. I don't think that this is like a one and done. Now all Krypton's bad. I also don't think you cast David Krumholtz as a evil guy who's going to be the same thing that Bradley Cooper was. So I am curious to see where this is all going to go. It kind of feels like there's more that you can delve into and kind of get into the nuance of all this, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Fantastic says, if you take out the U in Superman, just saying.
Hey-o.
Oh my Lord.
Paul
H 7791 support. Thank you, Paul. Very kind of you. Derek back again. So, two scientists who tried to save their only child from the destruction of their planet in an age of reason from destruction, then decide to send that child to go have orgies and dominate man. Miss me with that BS. Sorry.
First of all, orgies are great.
Oh boy.
Second of all,
boy. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
I'm not defending. Well, they are sending their son to, in their mind, what is an inferior planet.
Yes.
Of people that are not as developed as Kryptonians. So them saying, hey, we're going to send you to this planet, you can kind of rule over them and you can sort of like spread your seed and make them all Kryptonian like us because we're so great. Yeah. Like, I don't agree with that, but I also don't think we're turning them into what Zod was necessarily. Again, this is where I think, and I had this whole conversation. Did James Gunn cast Bradley Cooper because it was just hey, this is my buddy, I'm going to put him in this 2-second shot? Or do we have more plans down the road to dive into this more?
Right. Good point, Mike. Yeah, possibly. And look, you're trying to think scientists don't fuck up shit all the time. Scientists are sometimes fuck up shit all the time and have their idea, and can be at times, scientists can be distant from human beings and see them as numbers and do the things that they're doing because they look at the longer game. So the fact that they would do this is not out of the realm of possibility. Ice Hag Rocky says, watched your non-spoiler review as well as Jeremy Johns and Dan Murrow. Well, thanks for watching my non-spoiler review. Appreciate that, brother. Was surprised by their negative reaction, but ended up falling between you and them. It was just okay for me. Love the buddies. Totally fair. Totally fair. Jeremy doesn't strike me as a big comic book reader, but you know. Brian Davison, peace and love, Geek Buddies. Really love the film. Just chiming in to send love while live.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
Very kind. Katie O'Hara back. Only thing missing was someone showing some abs.
The engineer did.
Oh, that's true. The engineer did.
I wouldn't have mind Rachel Brosnahan's abs.
Ditto. Derek Johnson, extra support. Thank you, Derek. Luke TG11, hi from the UK. Superman was chaotic, but very fun. All right.
That's usually the kind of guy I date, so that's probably why I liked the movie.
I am Jax12. Small critique. Too many times it seemed the movie screams, see, we didn't do the stuff you hated in Man of Steel. Is it just me? Really loved it, though.
I mean, I would argue that it's just doing what Superman is supposed to do. And if that happens to be the stuff that they didn't do in Man of Steel, that's on Man of Steel, not Superman.
You know what's interesting is I'm still kind of like processing this in my head a little bit. Like some of the elements are similar to Man of Steel, but done differently to fit within what is the traditional approach to Superman. And that's why it works in this film, because the entire approach is a certain way, and those things fit in the way they're.
It's actually more BVS.
Oh,
if you really want to get into it. I mean, if you really want to get into it, BVS is about a Superman who has been Superman for a while.
Good point.
He goes overseas and does something that causes problems, and Lex Luthor leaps on that to make an entire debate about xenophobic shit.
Great
and then
point.
it goes off the rails into other stuff. But like the core of what Lex is dealing with and what Superman does in BVS, and the core of what Superman does in this movie and what Lex and how Lex reacts to it are extremely similar.
Yeah.
And the fact that Zack Snyder's movie is Zack Snyder's movie and James Gunn's movie is James Gunn's movie just shows how different their interpretation of the characters are.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy Olsen gets shot in the face the first 5 minutes of BVS and nobody even knows his name. So
hey, listen, you're not gonna, I won't defend BVS at all. I think that movie is terrible, even the extra footage. JPO3 says maybe somewhat slow in places is the only little qualm. Yeah, that's fair.
But those little lags, again, they are not as laggy on a repeated viewing.
Yeah.
And Shannon would know. He's seen it 30 times.
And didn't take a nap in it once.
Oh, that's actually a good sign. Michael Baldwin, the same Jor-El message was in My Adventures with Superman. In the cartoon, it turned out the message wasn't translated correctly from what I remember.
Yeah, so in Smallville, Jor-El straight up does tell him to take over the world. In My Adventures with Superman, Superman thinks it's that, but then ultimately Jor-El is not that. But Krypton is sort of that. Like Kara is working for Brainiac. Anyway, you just watch My Adventures with Superman. It's good.
That's what I hear.
John.
That's what I what did that trigger in me?
Shame? Did it trigger shame?
No. I'm just trying to think of my thought that I've had the same thought 3 times and it keeps slipping out of my brain before I say it. Every moment is a story. Said Edie Gathigi's performance as Mr. Terrific stole the show for me. Yeah. A lot. He
really did. Like he really ran away with a lot of scenes in the movie.
Yeah. Steve Black, thoughts on Fantastic Four's Fantastivision trailer that dropped today? I thought it was great.
Don't know if I saw it.
I'm very excited for Fantastic Four still. I cannot wait to go see it, but I did see a tweet today that was like, I'm excited for Fantastic Four, but I just don't think it's possible for it to have the cultural impact that I feel Superman is going to have. And that remains to be seen. We don't know how this movie is going to do. It's just opening weekend. But when I read that tweet, I was like, oh, I felt that. Like, and I'm legit excited for Fantastic Four, but I feel right now like I'm the guy in that meme. Like I have my arm around the MCU, but the DC universe just walked past me and I'm like, oh.
Rakesh Tripathi says Spider-Man. Answering your question from earlier, Shannon. His Spider-Man is Toby. His Batman is Keaton. Watched all the Christopher Reeve movies and the documentary, but never connected that much. But one thing common with Shannon going thrice today. Oh,
nice.
Nice. That's good. Francisco Lopez. What's up, Francisco? I also love the Justice Society of America mural Easter egg in the Hall of Justice. It shows that there was heroes before. Yeah.
The thing that James Gunn did that he can do that Marvel can't is that Marvel can't go back before Iron. I mean, they do in some ways, but like Iron Man is the beginning of a lot of stuff. Whereas like we could get a Justice Society movie easily.
Totally. Right. 3 centuries. JM, remove nostalgia and how does 78 rank for you? I still think it's my favorite Superman movie. I do. I mean, there's so much about it. From the opening is really great. The stuff in Metropolis is fantastic. And I don't mind the third act because I'm on board and I love these characters. And at 1978, a land deal was pretty massive and was pretty evil and all of that stuff. Nowadays, of course, it's child's play. But yeah.
I think everything up until like the Superman Lois love theme when he takes her flying, I think still holds up and is amazing. Once the Lex Luthor plot sort of takes over in the back half, I do think it is not as strong as people nostalgically remember it.
This is going to be fun in these cinephiles. Where are you at on this?
No, I mean, like I grew up watching Superman and Superman 2 like everybody else, and I really liked them, but it was not the movie that I gravitated to repeatedly. Like that was, for me, that was always Indiana Jones and Star Wars. So I always love watching the screen test of Christopher Reeve. Like when he transitions from Clark Kent into Superman, when he takes glasses off, you see him stand up straight. I mean, just in terms of characterization, everyone did a phenomenal job in that movie, even though the movie is very much of its time.
Quag on Quigs says definitely an 8 of 10 for me. A good foundation. Love Krypto, love this soups, and appreciate the parallels to the real world today.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at some of those. Because this has been shot like a year and a half ago.
It is. I mean, without getting into the specifics, there's a lot of things in this movie that people are like, this is clearly a parallel to this. This country is clearly a parallel to this country. And like, I actually don't think it was intentioned to be that.
Right.
But it is also true that this movie coming out, when it comes out and showing the things it does, it is impossible to look at it and not go, it seems to be what they're saying.
Yeah. Derek Johnson back again. Supergirl's dad was a super asshole in the comics and did a lot of bad stuff. By the way, I love David as Superman. Great performance. Oh, there you go.
He's not wrong. But again, Supergirl Woman Tomorrow. Read the comic.
Yeah. KJ, your favorite guilty pleasure, Superman 3 or Superman 4? Neither.
I mean, Superman 3 over Superman 4 just because of Richard Pryor, but really neither of them. Like, no go.
All right. Is there a favorite guilty pleasure for Superman? Is there a Superman movie or TV show or anything that's a guilty pleasure that people don't like, but you kind of like?
I mean, my guilty pleasure would be Lois and Clark. Like Lois and Clark is not a good show. Like Lois and Clark is not a show that I would ever in a million years go to a person who has never watched Superman before. I was like, you really want to get Superman? Watch Lois and Clark. But I loved that show. I had the biggest crush on Dean Cain. I think I probably also had a biggest crush on Terry Hatcher. I was obsessed with that show. And so I still will go back now that it's on Max and like watch episodes every now and again. And they are bad, but I love them.
I think I would say the old show, the black and white show. Whenever I stumble upon those, I watch those. I still love those, even though they're
George Reeves.
Yeah, even though they're campy as fuck, I still love it.
You know, my favorite thing about the George Reeves Superman.
Go ahead.
Is he stands there and takes the bullets.
Yes,
because they bounce off his chest. But when they throw the gun at him, he ducks.
Well, look, when a Superman with super hearing has to ask Lex Luthor what he just said in his talk, we have these things. Shannon, do you have a guilty pleasure Superman connected?
I mean, look, there are parts of BVS that are very good. I mean, when they're when Clark and Bruce meet for the first time, when Clark hears Alfred talking to Bruce in his earpiece, there are great moments in a movie that ultimately I think is not very good.
Yeah, that warehouse fight scene as well with Batman. It's incredible. Yeah, it's a good point. By the way, I just finished watching again Dark Knight Returns, the animated version. I watched them back to back the other night.
That's great.
That's so good. It's so good.
It's really good.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen those, they're all on HBO Max. Highly recommend it. And they don't do it page for page from the comics. They make adjustments, which I think work really well for that medium. Jarek Johnson says, this isn't a Diddy party, sir. Did that space pad have a ton of baby oil? Let's not get into that.
Wow.
Yeah. I have two fly cam. Any guesses on Superman 2 villain? Dream pick, no Zod.
Brainiac.
Yeah, Brainiac, right?
I mean, I'm hoping that Bizarro comes back. I'm hoping that clone comes back as Bizarro at some point. I don't know that Bizarro is really a villain, the villain of a movie in his own right. I think he's a supporting villain. But no Superman franchise has made it far enough to get to Brainiac. And we've never had, and again, if you would just watch My Adventures with Superman, they have one of the best versions of Brainiac in a long time. So I really am all on board for a Brainiac movie.
Yeah.
And I also think in James Gunn's universe,
Yeah.
you don't have to ground Brainiac. He can be in the giant skull spaceship. Like, you can go all in and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Superman's rogues gallery, a lot of them don't have the heft to support a full movie.
Yeah.
Brainiac is one of the bad guys that does. And Brainiac could be like Loki. Like, he could go from a Superman movie to fighting a Justice League.
It isn't.
I mean, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, isn't Brainiac 5 in what one of the heroes teams in DC?
Oh,
Yeah, Legion of Superheroes.
Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah,
right?
Brainiac 5, who I also have a crush
Oh.
on, is in the Legion of Superheroes. No, but I was gonna say also, for good Brainiac stories, again, My Adventures with Superman season 2, Brainiac is great. Also, the end of the first season of Justice League Unlimited, where the Justice League fights Brainiac and Lex Luthor together, is maybe one of the peak moments of DC animation of all time, period.
All right, fair point. Derek Johnson, anybody know where I can find the Superman orgies in Sioux Falls? Just got hit on by a grandma. My mind literally went to orgies in South Dakota. Hey, man.
Listen, maybe go talk to that grandma. You don't know. She's probably got some experience.
Yeah. Might rock your world, son. KJ, my only disappointment was those 2 end credit scenes. Oh, I thought those were good. I know we haven't talked about it. What'd you guys think? I mean, the one with Krypto was cool.
Well, the fact that we didn't talk about them says all you really need to know.
There's not much weight to them. Right. Yeah.
Well, James Gunn, like it or not, like, James Gunn hates end credit sequence at Marvel.
Yes.
And he's been really public about this. Like, he didn't want to put Adam Warlock in the end credit sequence of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and Marvel made him put Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which meant he had to use him in Volume 3 and didn't really want to. And when you watch Volume 3, that's pretty apparent. So he has vowed that he's not going to make his directors do that, and that for him, the end credit sequences in DC movies are going to be more little epilogues for the movie that you watched. So that definitely does make them a little bit less impactful than they are in the way that we're used to doing Marvel end credit sequences. But from a director's point of view, I get his point.
Yeah. Good point. But I like that one with him and Mr. Trivia, because I mean, him like giving him a little shit that it didn't quite line up correctly. I thought that was great. And his reaction to it, walking away. Oh my God. Hilarious. Let's see what we got here. All right. Logan Missiak says, James Gunn tried to make Superman into Brightburn. LOL. Take the world. Maybe it was homage to Brightburn. Overall, I give the movie 7.9 out of 10. Yeah, James Gunn produced that film, executive produced that film, didn't make that film, but yeah.
In a way, that he kind of did, like, his parents were like, hey, go full Brightburn.
Yeah. Derek Johnson back in says, I kid on all this, but I really want DC to succeed. If it doesn't, I'll never get a legitimately great Flash movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think, like, coming out of this, there is that feeling of, like, we could get all the good stuff now.
Yeah, possibly. But James Gunn isn't going to direct everything. So
he's opened the door to this universe. Like I said, he's kind of said, this is the tone and this is as far as you can push stuff. Now, we know that Lanterns is going to be more grounded like True Detective. Supergirl's going to have its own vibe. I don't want James Gunn to direct and write every movie in the DC universe. I want us to have variety, but I think he set the rules, and he's set the rules as wide as you possibly can.
Yeah, I look forward to a World's Finest if that's what he's doing next. But I want him to come back to direct the Justice League when they get to that Justice League moment. I kind of want to see that. C Black says, Vogel, you feel that way about the MCU with Fantastic Four, SM4, Doomsday, Secret Wars, and X-Men coming all back to back?
Look, I'm not. It's not like I'm turning my back on the MCU. I love Marvel. I've always loved Marvel, and I've always loved DC. But right now, look, Marvel can always win me back. This has happened for years with comics. Everyone is you're on DC for a while and it's killing it. Then DC has some big crossover that's lame, and then you kind of go back over to Marvel and you're like, oh no, like Krakoa is awesome. I love X-Men, and you kind of go back and forth. Right now, Marvel is on its heels.
Yeah,
I love Thunderbolts. I thought it was a solid win for Marvel. I thought it was really in the right direction. If Fantastic Four hits big, and then we're teed up for Doomsday. But if Doomsday isn't the end-all be-all, if they don't reach Infinity War Endgame levels, and DC is chugging along and giving us awesome stuff, Marvel's going to have to rethink. This is actually a good thing for all of us. Like, Marvel has never had competition, really.
Real competition, yeah.
And if DC continues to deliver in this way, it's going to force Marvel and Disney to take bigger swings and bigger risks to get everybody back. And I think that all that does is make a win for all of us.
Yeah, yeah. Lord Rage, Batman and Robin in this DCU, who do you cast?
Fuck. I do not know.
Yeah, yeah.
I do.
Okay.
If it's a movie star, Jake Gyllenhaal. If you're going less movie star, Theo James.
Okay.
And Robin, you know, that's gonna be an unknown kid.
I mean, Nicholas Hoult is the biggest star in Superman.
He got paid.
He got paid the most. David Corenswet had done a few things. Like, I think that we're going to get a Batman that none of us have really, that we're going to be like, oh yeah, he was in that one show on Hulu. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's what we're going to get. Damian's obviously going to be like a kid we've never seen before, but I do think that what's been great about Superman with David Corenswet, and it's kind of the same as Christopher Reeve, is aside from a handful of shows, he wasn't a huge known person. Theo James has even done too much to me, I think. Like, I think that kind of getting a Batman that is at the same level as David Corenswet but who really embodies the Batman vibe, I think is going to be the smartest move. And then cast somebody bigger as Joker, Penguin, Hush, Poison Ivy, whoever the fuck, you know, like whoever, Ra's al Ghul, like whoever it is, but kind of follow the same formula that you did with Superman.
We've never gotten an unknown Batman. They've always been a known performer.
Well, it's true.
Yes, no, I'm aware. I'm saying to not do that.
You know, I just saw, I've been enjoying, I'm just going to go right over that. I've been enjoying Tom Sturridge in the Sandman season 2. And I'm wondering if there's a place for him in DC, like just his energy. I could see him as the older version of Pattinson as the Batman, but I don't think he fits in the Brave and the Bold type of approach. So it could be fascinating to see where he would.
I don't know if he would fit in the suit, would he? He's pretty lean.
I mean, it's not like Christian Bale wasn't fucking lean coming out of The Machinist. He got big for Batman. So, it can happen. I am Jack's 12 says, follow up to the Man of Steel comment. It was a little more, it felt like there was 97 background news reports like no casualties reported. I mean, you're not wrong. I saw some people complain about that in their reviews. I'm like, but that's like in the comics. That happens all through the comics. Like Dark Knight Returns, it's news reports all over their stuff. So it's kind of a cheat, but they use it. I thought they used it effectively in the movie. Yeah.
I think the only time that phrase actually comes up is when Superman says to Lois in his interview, I threw around some tanks. I blew up. I did this. He's like, but there was no casualties. He says it. And like, I don't disagree. Like, if every news report was like, Superman did this, there was no casualties. But like, the fact that Superman actually cares that there were no casualties is kind of what everybody complained about with Man of Steel. The fact that he's the one that is making sure people are okay or is making sure people are evacuated is kind of the point.
Yeah, as I get older, I do see the logic in that anger towards the movie. It's such a simple fix that it's kind of astounding or confounding that Zach didn't make that fix. Like, did no one tell him, hey man, you should check on these? Because I remember watching the movie being like, was anybody getting killed in these buildings? Rakesh Tripathi says, finally, a Superman my kid will be growing up with. As a Batman fan she is, she finally got a Superman. So did I. So much hope. I always told her S stands for hope. Oh, that's awesome. Evil John Madden, I love that they did the magic glasses theory for Clark/Superman. It makes the most sense. Yeah, like Michael said, the way they presented it was just genius. I mean, Lois yelling at him, and if I didn't know about it, you've just told me about it, you moron. It was so great.
He's Clark Kent?
It was so good. Oh, God. Rakesh Tripathi. She is excited for the third time. Thank you guys for sharing the excitement. We are watching together and in 2 hours seeing the movie again.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the review since it's now a half hour longer than the movie that we reviewed.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to go fast. I'm Two Fly Cam. So with Reeves at the premiere, do we see two Batman? Yeah, Matt Reeves was at the premiere. He talked to Ryan Coogler. I saw somebody mention to me on Twitter, like, wouldn't it be funny if Coogler does a Mr. Terrific film? And I was like, I lost my goddamn mind at that possibility. So, yeah, Reeves at the premiere. I don't know if there were any shots of them together, but Reeves was there at the premiere.
The shot of the title page of a completed script, that does not mean we're going to see that movie, but it does mean that it is, as of right now, looks like it's moving forward.
Yeah, in motion. Alan Smithy, haven't seen the movie yet, but can't miss out on Live Geek Buddies. What's all this I'm hearing about Jimmy's Jimmy? Is that his superpower? Look up. Hello.
Apparently it is.
Hello. All right, just a few Streamlabs and we'll get out of here. Fantastic 314. Hey, Geek Buddies. I love this movie. Seen it twice already, and the rough edges of the first part aren't as rough the second time around. It's something Shannon said. I love the cut down Lois had for Guy about his haircut. Took the words right out of my mouth.
The what?
Parker Haller, I liked it a lot, but I needed 10 more minutes to help the pacing and develop characters more. I see a much better sequel in the future now that we're invested in the world and the hard work is done. Yes, Parker, thanks for sending that comment a second time. We addressed that. Oh, my brother Adam is in here. Heroes Reforged is awesome. He said, happy that it's a window into a DC universe rather than making a, quote, realistic and grounded movie again. Been there, done that, and no more director's cuts. Oh, wow. There you go. By the way, Adam was in the chat earlier and verified that I did have a great time watching the movie because I sat next to him through the whole film and was giggling and laughing and enjoying it like crazy in my chair. And you guys should absolutely watch Heroes Reforged. Him, Hector, and Augustine are fantastic. Adam Hlavak over there. Annan says, the one line that didn't make sense to me was Jimmy saying Sups and Lois have been seeing each other for 3 months. How much have they seen Sups and Lois interact, especially since Lois hadn't interviewed Supes before this, or do they know Supes is Clark Kent? Yeah, that was near the end of the movie. What do you guys think about that?
No, I don't think they know that. I think, again, he's been around for a while. Like, I'm assuming, and again, this is an assumption, but I'm assuming he's saved her a few times. You've had the few hello, Miss Lane moments, whatever. I think it was just it was a very funny joke. Like, it landed for me. It didn't confuse me. I'm like, yeah, like people have seen Lois fawning over Superman ever since he showed up. She's been doing that ever since Lois Lane has Lois Laned.
Maybe Jimmy just got really lucky with that guess.
Well, they are journalists. I would imagine their instincts go off. Taco says, thoughts on Wonder Woman's casting? Maybe Elizabeth Debicki? She's worked with Gunn before. I mean, I can kind of see it, but not really see it at the same time. But what do you got?
Yeah, I don't really see that. I mean, ever since the Andor with Adria Arjona, she's what I see in my head right now.
Mike, you got any other thoughts on this Wonder Woman cast?
I'm with Shannon on that. I don't know. I'm more not concerned. I'm more curious onto how Wonder Woman fits into everything.
Yeah.
Do we do another period piece like Patty Jenkins did? Do we, what is Paradise Island in this DC universe?
Yeah. And I want to see a Wonder Woman then go toe to toe with Lois, because I think that could be interesting as well. Because there's always been a thing with Superman and Wonder Woman. So like alluded to or hinted at. So it could be a fun little back and forth. And in the end, they're both like teaming up on Clark, which would be funny. Jay West says, what was that monster that the Justice Gang was fighting when Clark led the fight to talk to Lois? And Jimmy is a pimp. LOL.
Interdimensional imp, man. Maybe that's a Mixelpick before he shows up to fuck with Superman. Who knows?
Slipple skim. I am Jax 12. Runtime was fine, but maybe a smidge less action, more moments like with Pa Kent. Perhaps those same type moments with other characters for development. I think that's fair.
I do wonder if there was a cutting room scene with Lois and one of the Kents, because when they get to the farm, I mean, she does kind of vanish. So I'm wondering if there was a her and Ma scene.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. I like this comment. Debicki would be a good cheetah if they ever go down that route again. Yeah, I can see that. That I could see for sure. All right.
I mean, how could they do that again? I mean, they really nailed it with Wonder Woman 84. Can you do a better cheetah? I don't know.
Oh, I like this. I'm starting to come around on this possibility. Monica Barbaro for Wonder Woman. I'm starting to come around on that, considering how good she was in Complete Unknown. No, Complete Unknown. And Top Gun Maverick. So I like that idea. Julia says, just finished the movie and it was good. Such fun. There you go. Catching us live. Right? All right, let's get out of here. Thank you, everybody. Michael, well, actually, Shannon, your final words on Superman. We'll let Michael have the final say since he is a Superman aficionado. Go ahead, Shannon.
I didn't come in with hesitance. I came in with curiosity, and even though there were things that I don't think they nailed everything, I think they nailed everything that counted the most. And so thrilled that the DC universe has started off with a bang. Can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, absolutely agree with all that. I had so much fun, and it was nice to see this version of Superman, and James Gunn nailed it. Yeah, there's some quibbles on scripts, some storyline, character development, what have you. But overall, this is a great time in the theater, and this is a summer movie. And that's what you want. You want to go back, feel like a kid again, and enjoy summer movies again. And this absolutely nails that and opens the door, as Michael said earlier, for so much to happen now in the DC universe. So fantastic film. Michael, your final thoughts here.
Well, it's not a perfect movie. The things that needed to be perfect were. That's what I think. And I think that it is safe to say that the DC universe is finally here. Can't wait to see what comes next.
What now? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here for this live spoiler review for Superman. We had well over 500 of you joining us for a majority of this. And thanks for all the Streamlabs super chats and the lively chat. The back and forth you all were having is monitoring throughout. It was a lot of fun to hear you all back and forth, to see you all back and forth. We appreciate it. Shannon, what do we have to tell these wonderful people who are watching or listening to us?
Yes, you'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's at Geek_Buddies. On Instagram, at _Geek_Buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MK2. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Michael.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. Check out all the amazing content he has got there. If you're listening to this video later, leave your thoughts in the comments. The chat over here has been wild as we've been doing this live. And yes, we do think that he's going to come back as Bizarro. That final comment that is sitting there right now. Yeah. If you are listening to us on the podcast, go ahead and leave us some stars and some comments. They'll go up in the rankings and more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody. Again, take care of yourselves. Be well. Look for more content from us coming up next week. And we will talk to you next time with another brand new episode of The
Geek
Buddies. Hey!